As the sun dips beneath the horizon and the last golden rays shimmer across the waves, the vastness of the Greek seas begins to reveal its quiet, mysterious beauty. Imagine the gentle rocking of a small boat, drifting slowly over waters that have been traveled by countless sailors, merchants, and adventurers across centuries. Beneath you, the deep blue stretches endlessly, sometimes calm and glassy, other times restless and whispering secrets carried from distant shores. These waters, so familiar and yet so unknowable, have long been a source of both wonder and unease. In the minds of the ancient Greeks, they were more than a pathway for trade or a playground for leisure. They were a realm where gods and monsters held sway, where the ordinary world could vanish into the extraordinary with the turn of a wave. The Greeks, ever attentive to the stories hidden in the world around them, saw the sea as alive. Its moods could shift without warning, from the gentlest lull to the most terrifying storm. They understood that the sea nourished their lands with fish and trade, yet it could also take lives in an instant, swallowing entire vessels and leaving only silence in its wake. Perhaps it was this duality, the tender calm and the lurking threat, that inspired their imagination to conjure creatures both marvelous and fearsome. To them, the ocean was not merely water and waves, it was a stage upon which the gods might act, and where the monsters of human imagination might find form. As we begin this journey into the myths of the Greek seas, allow yourself to settle into a state of quiet attention. Picture the waves spreading out like a blanket of liquid midnight, shimmering under the faint glow of a rising moon. Hear the soft lapping of water against the hull, a gentle rhythm that echoes the steady beat of your own heart. Let this rhythm guide your mind, relaxing it, opening it to the stories that have floated across centuries, carried by sailors' tales, woven into epic poems, and painted on ancient pottery. Each story we explore is like a lantern held in the darkness, sometimes flickering, sometimes steady, illuminating the monstrous wonders that lie hidden beneath the waves. In the distance, imagine the silhouette of rocky cliffs rising from the water, their jagged edges softened by mist. These cliffs are ancient sentinels, witnesses to countless myths and adventures. From here, the sea stretches outward, seemingly endless, a place where imagination and reality intertwine. It is in these waters that the first whispers of the monsters we will meet begin to stir. Some of them are grotesque, their forms twisting and unnatural, born from fears too deep to fully name. Others are mesmerizing, almost beautiful in their danger, their very presence commanding awe. As we explore these beings, remember that they are not meant to frighten, but to invite a sense of wonder, a curiosity about the unknown depths where anything might exist. The stories of these creatures were never told in haste. They were shared slowly, often around flickering fires, in the quiet of long nights when the world outside seemed still and vast. A fisherman might speak of Scylla and Charybdis as he guided his boat through treacherous waters, or a poet might describe the sirens' enchanting song that lured sailors toward peril. Each tale carried with it the rhythm of the sea itself, sometimes calm, sometimes urgent, always mesmerizing. By listening carefully, we can hear echoes of those ancient voices, inviting us to step softly into a world where the boundaries between reality and myth blur, and where every shadow on the water might conceal a secret. As you imagine the gentle sway of your own surroundings blending with these ancient waters, picture the creatures waiting just beneath the surface, hidden from ordinary sight. Their forms may be strange, even terrifying in the imagination, yet they are a natural part of this mythic ecosystem. They inhabit the depths much like the unseen currents that shape the sea above them, silent, persistent, powerful. These monsters remind us of the richness of human imagination and the timeless allure of the unknown. They are not merely obstacles to overcome but companions in a journey through mystery, guiding us into reflection, curiosity, and quiet awe. So let your mind drift along with the tide, letting the stories of the Greek seas unfold gently, like waves washing softly against the shore. Feel the cool spray of myth brushing against your senses, and the slow, rhythmic pulse of imagination pulling you deeper into a world where gods, heroes, and monsters coexist. In this calm, immersive space, the monstrous and the marvelous are intertwined, and every turn of the wave holds a new secret to uncover. Here, in the stillness of night and the expanse of the mythic sea, we are ready to begin our journey, allowing the stories to carry us softly into wonder and relaxation, as timeless as the waves themselves.
The ancient Greeks lived in a world defined by the sea. Islands, rocky coastlines, and endless horizons shaped their lives, their economies, and their imaginations. For them, the sea was more than a body of water, it was a living presence, unpredictable and alive, offering sustenance yet demanding respect. Fishing boats dotted the coastlines, merchant ships carried olive oil and wine across distant lands, and naval fleets defended cities from invaders, but beyond these practical aspects lay a deeper, almost spiritual connection. To the Greeks, the sea was a source of stories, a theater where myths were performed, and a mirror reflecting both their hopes and their fears. The rhythm of daily life often intertwined seamlessly with the ocean's ebb and flow. Sailors learned to read the wind as one might read a familiar song, noting its subtle shifts and using its patterns to guide their journeys. Fishermen watched for changes in wave color or the sudden appearance of flocks of seabirds, clues that revealed hidden currents or schools of fish below. Yet no matter how skilled or experienced they were, the sea retained a certain mystery. It could turn from calm to violent in moments, swallowing vessels whole or tossing them helplessly upon jagged rocks. Such unpredictability gave rise to stories that walked the delicate line between explanation and imagination, blending practical knowledge with mythic wonder. It is within this context that the Greeks began imagining monsters in their seas. These creatures were not random fabrications, they were inspired by what people saw and what they feared. A shadow under the water, a sudden whirlpool, a ship caught in a storm, each event might inspire a tale of a being with immense power, something that could exist beyond human control. Yet, the storytelling was never meant to terrify in the way modern horror might. It was a way to engage with the unknown, to create order from chaos, and to allow the imagination to explore the spaces between reality and the impossible. There was awe in their fear, and even in danger, there was beauty in the stories they told. The Greeks' maritime culture also influenced their gods and their myths. Poseidon, the god of the sea, reigned over waves and storms, wielding his trident to calm or unleash the waters at his will. Sailors and coastal dwellers alike offered prayers, sacrifices, and songs in hopes of his favor. The god's temperament mirrored that of the ocean, sometimes gentle, sometimes vengeful. By understanding Poseidon's moods, people believed they could predict the behavior of the sea. Yet even with divine guidance, there were still things the sea could conceal, and it was into these shadows that the monsters of myth emerged. Beyond gods and storms, the Greeks viewed the sea as a realm of limitless possibility. Its depths were imagined as hidden kingdoms, home to creatures both marvelous and terrible. Tales of sunken cities, giant fish, and serpentine beasts circulated among the islands and coastal towns. These stories were told in the quiet of evening, when the golden light of dusk gave way to the cool blues and silvers of night, and listeners could imagine, almost tangibly, the mysteries lurking below. In these moments, the sea became a portal between the ordinary world and the extraordinary, a space where the boundaries of reality softened and imagination could roam freely. The sea also shaped the Greeks' understanding of human life. Its vastness reminded them of their smallness, its depth of the unknown, and its currents of the passage of time. A sailor lost at sea might become a cautionary tale, a reminder of mortality and respect for nature's power. Similarly, the creatures imagined in the depths often embodied these ideas. They were obstacles to navigate, lessons to heed, or symbols of natural forces that humans could not fully control. This gave myths a dual purpose. They entertained, and they taught, offering insight into both the world and the human experience. When ancient mariners spoke of their journeys, they often described not just the physical aspects of travel, but also the feeling of being surrounded by the immense, mysterious sea. There was a gentle rhythm to their days, the quiet lapping of waves against the hull, the subtle shifting of wind and current, the soft glimmer of moonlight on water. And it was during these quiet moments that stories were shared, of Scylla, Charybdis, and the sirens, told slowly and with care, allowing listeners to picture the vast expanse of ocean and the creatures said to dwell within. These narratives were as much about imagination as caution, providing a safe way to explore fear while nestled in warmth and safety. The sea was also a connector of cultures, a bridge linking distant lands and ideas. Sailors brought back stories from foreign ports, blending local myths with Greek imagination. Over time, these stories evolved, intertwining elements of natural phenomena, divine influence, and human experience. A whirlpool here might become a monstrous creature there. A strange, glimmering fish might inspire tales of a serpent with eyes like burning coals. In this way, the Greek seas became a living tapestry of myth, each thread a story of wonder, caution, and awe, carefully woven into the cultural consciousness. In reflecting on the importance of the sea in Greek life, we begin to understand why the stories of monsters were so compelling. They were not merely tales of terror but explorations of the unknown, expressions of reverence for the vast and powerful world around them. By imagining these beings, the Greeks gave form to their fears, celebrated the mystery of the waters, and connected deeply with a world that was, in many ways, beyond their control. They were reminders that beauty and danger often coexist, that curiosity can thrive even in the presence of fear, and that the unknown holds lessons waiting to be discovered. As you picture the calm blue waves stretching toward the horizon, let yourself imagine the hidden depths below. Let the rhythmic motion of the imagined ocean lull your mind, opening it to stories that have survived across centuries. The monsters of Greek myth may seem distant, perhaps even unreal, yet they are rooted in the same waters that shaped life, imagination, and storytelling for a civilization long gone. With this understanding, you are ready to begin meeting these creatures, exploring not only their forms and legends but also the rich world from which they emerged, a world of sea, myth, and timeless imagination.
Monsters, in the imagination of the ancient Greeks, were rarely just threats. They were mirrors reflecting the deepest parts of human curiosity and fear. From the earliest tales, it becomes clear that these creatures were born not only from observation of the natural world but also from the human mind's need to explain, embellish, and wonder. The sea itself, endless and often unfathomable, offered the perfect canvas for such creations. When sailors disappeared in storms, when whirlpools swallowed boats, or when strange shadows passed beneath the waves, imagination filled the gaps, giving rise to beings that could embody both peril and fascination. These monsters, in a sense, were a way of giving voice to the mysteries that lay beyond comprehension. Consider the very nature of fear and wonder. Both arise from the unknown. When humans encounter something they cannot fully understand, the mind instinctively reaches for explanation, crafting patterns, stories, or creatures that make the world feel more complete. In the context of the Greek seas, the unknown was never far away. A sudden swell of waves, a flicker of movement beneath the surface, a shadow cast by a jagged cliff could spark tales of serpents, whirlpools, or creatures with multiple heads. But these stories were never told with the frantic energy of modern horror. Instead, they were shared gently, often in calm, reflective moments. The very telling of the tale transformed fear into curiosity, anxiety into awe, and the unsettling into something profoundly engaging. The Greeks' approach to monsters was deeply intertwined with their culture of storytelling. Heroes and gods often encountered these beings, framing the monsters as both obstacles and teachers. In the epic poems of Homer, the monsters are described with care and attention, their terrifying aspects balanced by vivid, poetic detail. They are dangerous, certainly, but they are also awe-inspiring. There is a rhythm to their portrayal that mirrors the waves themselves, sometimes slow and mesmerizing, sometimes rushing with energy, always leaving space for reflection. Listening to such stories, one is invited not just to fear, but to imagine, to consider what lies beyond the edge of perception, and to appreciate the grandeur of a world filled with mystery. In many ways, these sea monsters represent the Greeks' attempt to harmonize the known and unknown. The ocean was a source of life, a provider of food and commerce, yet it was also unpredictable, holding hidden dangers that no human could fully control. Monsters personified these dangers, turning abstract fear into something tangible, something that could be named and shared. By doing so, the stories created a bridge between human experience and imagination. A sailor encountering a sudden storm could, in his mind, picture a serpent rising from the depths. In this visualization, the unpredictable behavior of nature became a narrative, and narrative became a tool to understand and navigate life's uncertainties. It is also worth noting that these creatures were often hybrids of the familiar and the fantastical. Some had multiple heads, others wings or serpentine tails, combining traits from animals known to the Greeks with imagined features that heightened their otherworldliness. This blending created beings that were at once recognizable and utterly alien, evoking both empathy and awe. The mind is naturally drawn to such contrasts, lingering on details that seem almost possible, yet delighting in the impossibility of the whole. This is part of the magic of Greek monster myths. They balance the ordinary with the extraordinary, offering a gentle tension that captivates without overwhelming. Moreover, the monsters of Greek seas were rarely solitary in meaning. Each one carried symbolic weight, reflecting human concerns, natural forces, or moral lessons. A whirlpool might become a monster representing the danger of arrogance. A multi-headed creature might embody the complexity and unpredictability of life itself. These symbols were subtle, woven into the narrative in a way that allowed listeners to contemplate them while being gently transported into a world of myth. There was a meditative quality to the stories, a way to explore complex ideas while maintaining a calm, reflective state of mind. Stories of monsters also encouraged imagination in the way that no mere description of facts could. When told slowly, with pauses for thought and reflection, they invited listeners to picture vast, deep waters, the glimmer of moonlight on waves, and shadowy forms lurking beneath. The imagination fills in details, creating a vivid, personal experience that resonates deeply. This method of storytelling is particularly suited for relaxation or sleep, as it allows the mind to wander gently, building images and sensations without sudden shocks or fear. The rhythm of narration mirrors the rhythm of waves, fostering a sense of calm even as the content remains engaging and thought-provoking. Even as these stories were shared over generations, the monsters themselves evolved. They became intertwined with geography, with sailors' experiences, with poets' imaginations, and with cultural values. Some monsters were feared for their sheer power, others admired for their cleverness or beauty. Yet all retained a sense of the unknown, a reminder that there are aspects of the world beyond human control, always waiting to be explored. In this way, Greek sea monsters are more than just tales of horror, they are reflections of human curiosity, creativity, and the eternal fascination with the world's mysteries. As you imagine these ancient waters, let yourself feel the slow, steady pulse of the sea. Picture the horizon stretching endlessly, the soft murmur of waves beneath a moonlit sky, and the hidden depths below where monsters might dwell. Consider how fear and wonder are intertwined, how imagination gives shape to the unknown, and how storytelling can transform the unsettling into a source of fascination and calm. By thinking of monsters this way, not merely as threats but as companions in the journey of imagination, you prepare to enter a world where myth and reality blend, a world where every ripple of water carries a story, and every shadow beneath the waves hints at untold marvels. In this gentle space of curiosity and reflection, the Greek sea monsters begin to take form, not as objects of terror, but as symbols of exploration, imagination, and the timeless human desire to understand the mysteries around us. They are the first whispers of the adventures we will encounter in the depths, invitations to wonder, to drift, and to experience the ancient seas in a calm, meditative state. And with that understanding, we can now begin meeting them, one story at a time, letting their tales guide us softly into the vast, enchanting world of Greek mythology. Among the most feared creatures of the Greek seas was Scylla, a being whose very name sent shivers through the minds of sailors and storytellers alike. Her legend is one of transformation and terror, yet it is also a tale that invites wonder and reflection, particularly when told with care and attention. In the vast, dark waters that stretch between cliffs and hidden coves, Scylla made her home, lurking in places where the ocean's currents collided and the shadows ran deep. Ancient Greeks imagined her as a creature of many heads, each snapping and writhing with hunger, a being born from both divine wrath and human fear. Yet in considering her story, one can see that she is more than a monster. She is a symbol of the challenges and dangers that exist on life's journey, as well as the awe-inspiring power of the natural world. Scylla's origins are as fascinating as her form. She was once a beautiful nymph, renowned for her grace and charm, admired by gods and mortals alike. However, like many beings in Greek myth, her beauty drew envy, particularly from the sorceress Circe. In a tale as old as time, jealousy and magic transformed Scylla into the creature of terror that would haunt the narrow strait sailors had to navigate. Her lower body became a series of ferocious, snapping heads, each tipped with teeth sharp enough to rend flesh and bone. Her upper form retained traces of her former beauty, making her simultaneously horrifying and strangely captivating. This duality, terror and allure intertwined, reflects the complexity of human emotion, and it is one of the reasons why her story has endured for millennia. The physical description of Scylla is chilling, yet when imagined in a calm, reflective manner, it takes on a different quality. Picture the waves breaking gently against a rocky shore, the water swirling around hidden recesses where she waits. Each of her heads, rising and falling with the current, seems almost hypnotic, a rhythm that mirrors the motion of the sea itself. The long, snapping jaws, the glimmer of teeth in moonlight, and the writhing, serpentine forms create a sense of motion and life that is both awe-inspiring and slightly unsettling, yet not meant to terrify in the way modern horror might. Instead, the story invites the imagination to explore, to consider, and to marvel at the blending of beauty, danger, and mystery. Sailors feared Scylla not only for her appearance but for the very real danger she represented. Ancient tales recount ships passing through narrow straits, forced to navigate between her lair and the whirlpool Charybdis, her companion in peril. The narrowness of the passage meant that avoiding one threat often led directly into the other, creating a tension that was palpable in the storytelling. Yet this tension was carefully balanced in the narrative. Listeners were encouraged to imagine the danger, to contemplate the skill and courage required to survive, but they were also soothed by the rhythm of the tale, the predictability of its cadence, and the knowledge that, in the safety of their own homes, they could explore these fears without risk. In this way, Scylla becomes a conduit for reflection on human bravery, strategy, and resilience in the face of overwhelming challenges. Her story also carries deeper symbolism. Scylla represents the dangers of the unknown, the hidden threats that may arise without warning, and the consequences of envy and jealousy. She is a reminder that beauty and danger are often intertwined, that what appears harmless or alluring may conceal peril, and that the world is filled with forces beyond human control. In contemplating her myth, one is invited to reflect on these truths gently, in a way that encourages mindfulness rather than panic. The narrative unfolds slowly, like waves lapping against a cliff, allowing the listener to absorb both the wonder and the caution embedded in her story. Scylla's encounters with heroes, particularly Odysseus, add another layer to her legend. In Homer's Odyssey, sailors must choose a path that risks their lives, navigating between Scylla and Charybdis. Odysseus, clever and resourceful, must make choices that balance survival and sacrifice. In this context, Scylla becomes more than a monster. She is a test of wisdom, courage, and discernment. The story encourages listeners to consider the nature of decision-making and the inevitability of risk, while the calm, descriptive narration ensures that these lessons are absorbed gently, without urgency or fear. When imagining Scylla in the mind's eye, one might picture her beneath a silver-lit sky, the water swirling and sparkling around her form. Each head moves in slow, hypnotic arcs, a blend of menace and grace, perfectly attuned to the rhythm of the sea. The rocks and currents around her create an environment that is as much a character in the story as she is, framing her presence and emphasizing the delicate balance between danger and beauty. By dwelling on these sensory details, the sound of waves, the glint of teeth, the motion of water, the listener is invited into an immersive experience, one that is both relaxing and deeply engaging. Even as we consider her terrifying aspects, there is a certain respect inherent in her myth. Scylla embodies the power of nature, the inevitability of challenge, and the enduring allure of the unknown. She reminds us that fear can coexist with admiration, that danger can inspire awe, and that stories of monsters are not merely about horror but about human imagination and our relationship with the world around us. By exploring her tale slowly and deliberately, we allow the mind to wander gently into reflection, creating a space where curiosity and calm coexist, and where the ancient sea comes alive in vivid, meditative imagery. Thus, as we drift further into the stories of Greek sea monsters, Scylla emerges as both guide and symbol. She teaches the importance of respect for nature, awareness of hidden dangers, and the balance between beauty and peril. And as the waves lap softly against the imaginary cliffs of our mind, we carry her image forward, preparing to encounter other creatures of the deep, each with their own lessons, mysteries, and quiet, immersive wonder. Not far from Scylla's treacherous lair, the sea gave birth to another danger, equally feared yet different in nature, Charybdis. Where Scylla embodies a lurking, snapping threat, Charybdis represents the unstoppable, swirling force of nature itself, a living whirlpool that could swallow ships whole. In the minds of the ancient Greeks, she was a creature born of divine power and natural phenomena, a being whose very existence demanded caution, respect, and awe. Picture the water suddenly shifting, rising, and falling with impossible energy, pulling everything in its path toward the unseen depths below. In the gentle glow of a moonlit night, this force transforms from mere danger into something almost hypnotic, a rhythm of the sea that mirrors the heartbeat of the world and invites contemplation as well as fascination. Charybdis' origins, like those of many monsters, are woven into tales of gods and mortals. Some stories say she was once a daughter of Poseidon, blessed with the ability to control waters, yet cursed by the gods for her overreach or her greed. In one version, her actions angered Zeus, and she was cast into the sea, condemned to suck in and expel vast amounts of water 3 times a day. This daily cycle created a whirlpool that could engulf any ship unlucky enough to drift too close. Such tales transformed natural dangers, the tides, the currents, the whirlpools, into narratives that gave sailors both cautionary guidance and the comfort of explanation. By turning unpredictable forces into stories, the Greeks could explore the unknown safely, imagining peril in the calm security of their own homes. The physical image of Charybdis is mesmerizing. Imagine standing on a cliff at twilight, looking down at the water churning below. The waves twist in endless spirals, sucking everything toward the center with relentless motion. There is a power in this sight that is both terrifying and beautiful, a reminder of nature's immense capabilities and the smallness of humanity. Unlike monsters that stalk the edges of the sea, Charybdis is inseparable from her environment. She is the currents, the whirlpool, the pulse of water itself, a being whose form is fluid yet formidable. The gentle swirls of imagination allow the mind to engage with this motion, to watch and feel its rhythm, without the immediate threat of real danger. Sailor stories of navigating near Charybdis often emphasized careful planning, skill, and courage. Ancient mariners knew that proximity to the whirlpool meant imminent peril, yet the straits between her and Scylla were narrow, leaving no easy choice. Passing too close to one often meant risking the other. These tales were shared slowly, sometimes during quiet evenings on the shore, when listeners could picture the treacherous waters and the ships struggling against them. The tension in the story is deliberate, creating suspense while maintaining a calm, reflective pace. The listener is invited to imagine the scenario in their mind, to experience the drama in a controlled, meditative way, and to appreciate the skill required to navigate such challenges. Charybdis also serves as a powerful symbol in Greek myth. She represents uncontrollable natural forces, the inevitability of challenges, and the idea that some dangers cannot be avoided entirely. In contrast to Scylla, who is a creature that can be observed and perhaps outsmarted, Charybdis embodies the relentless and inescapable aspects of life. Her presence reminds sailors, and by extension the listeners of her story, that there are forces in the world beyond human control, and that respect for these forces is essential. Yet this respect is not fear alone. It is awe, appreciation, and understanding of the delicate balance between human endeavor and natural might. The stories also emphasize patience, strategy, and courage. Odysseus' famous encounter with Charybdis in Homer's Odyssey illustrates the careful choices required to survive such perils. He must navigate between Scylla and Charybdis, choosing the lesser threat while understanding the inevitability of some loss. In this context, Charybdis is more than a whirlpool. She is a test of wisdom, foresight, and the acceptance of life's challenges. The narrative, told in a calm, deliberate rhythm, allows listeners to absorb these lessons gently, reflecting on the balance between risk and safety, action and inaction, in their own lives. Imagine the sound of water as you picture Charybdis, the low, constant rumble, the spiraling motion of currents, the occasional burst of waves breaking against hidden rocks. It is a sound that can both unsettle and soothe, a rhythm that mirrors the natural flow of life and the movement of thoughts. In the soft light of imagination, the whirlpool becomes almost hypnotic, a dance of energy and motion that draws the mind inward while remaining at a safe distance. Through this imagery, The story allows for contemplation and reflection, combining the thrill of danger with the calming effects of narrative rhythm. Charybdis legend also connects deeply with human emotion and experience. She embodies the sense of smallness that comes from facing forces larger than oneself, the recognition of unpredictability, and the need to navigate life with care and awareness. Unlike monsters that are primarily aggressive, she is impartial. She is neither cruel nor vindictive. She acts according to her nature, a reminder that not all challenges are personal, and that some dangers are simply part of the world. In this gentle framing, she becomes a figure for meditation, an invitation to consider one's place in the broader currents of life, just as sailors once contemplated their journey through her treacherous waters. As we visualize Charybdis, it is possible to appreciate the hypnotic beauty of her movement, the way the water spins and churns, and the balance of power and rhythm that defines her existence. She is an essential part of the stories of Greek sea monsters, complementing Scylla and offering contrast. One is physical, the other elemental; one is visible and graspable, the other a force of nature. Together, they remind us that the sea is both friend and challenge, a source of sustenance and mystery, and that myths are ways of exploring these truths. In the calm of your imagination, allow yourself to drift along the edges of this whirlpool, observing its relentless motion without fear, noting the hypnotic patterns of water and light, and appreciating the wisdom embedded in ancient stories. Charybdis teaches us that respect for the unknown is as important as courage, and that even the most dangerous forces can be contemplated with calm, curiosity, and wonder. Through her story, we continue our journey into the Greek seas, moving deeper into the mysteries, lessons, and awe-inspiring creatures that populate this ancient and timeless world.
In the quieter stretches of the Greek seas, where the waves shimmer like liquid silver under the moonlight, another type of danger awaited sailors, one that was subtle, enchanting, and almost irresistible. The sirens, often depicted as part bird and part woman, were creatures whose voices could captivate, mesmerize, and lure any listener to their doom. Unlike Scylla, whose threat was physical, or Charybdis, whose power lay in sheer force, the sirens' danger came from seduction, from the irresistible allure of sound itself. Their song was said to weave spells in the hearts and minds of those who heard it, drawing ships toward rocky shores where wrecks lay scattered as silent warnings. Yet, as with all tales of the Greek seas, the story of the sirens is not solely one of fear. It is also one of beauty, mystery, and the delicate balance between fascination and caution. Imagine, if you will, the calm of a night at sea. The wind moves softly through the rigging, carrying faint scents of salt and pine. The water glistens under a canopy of stars, each one reflecting like a tiny lantern upon the rippling surface. Somewhere in the distance, perhaps imagined or perhaps whispered by ancient storytellers, comes the first notes of the siren song. It is gentle at first, barely more than a murmur above the sound of waves, yet somehow it seems to reach into the soul. The melody is so pure, so achingly beautiful, that even the most seasoned sailor might pause, entranced, leaning closer to the horizon as if trying to catch a glimpse of the singers themselves. The allure of the sirens lies in their duality. They are at once captivating and dangerous, beautiful and deadly. In some myths, they are described as sitting on rocky outcrops, combing their hair and singing to the moon and stars, their eyes glinting with intelligence and curiosity. In others, they are more bird-like, wings glistening, moving gracefully across cliffs or above the water as their song drifts toward unsuspecting sailors. This combination of elegance and threat creates a tension in the narrative that is compelling yet calm when narrated slowly, allowing the listener to visualize and imagine without panic. The sirens embody the idea that not all dangers are physical, and that the mind itself can be enchanted, tested, or even endangered by beauty. In Homer's Odyssey, the tale of the sirens becomes a story of cunning and resilience. Odysseus, aware of their enchanting song, instructs his crew to fill their ears with wax and has himself tied to the mast so that he can hear the music without succumbing to its lure. This narrative creates a gentle suspense, illustrating the tension between desire and self-control. As the ship drifts past, the sirens' voices rise and fall, echoing over the water like distant chimes, their song simultaneously mesmerizing and impotent, for the hero has outwitted them. In listening to this story, one can appreciate the artistry of mythic storytelling, where danger and beauty intertwine, and where the rhythm of the narrative mirrors the ebb and flow of the sea itself. The sirens also carry symbolic meaning. Their song represents temptation, the seductive pull of desires that may lead one astray, and the challenges of resisting what is alluring but potentially harmful. They are a reminder that not all dangers are immediate or visible. Some lie in choices, in thoughts, in the subtle currents of the mind. This makes them particularly fascinating for reflective storytelling, as listeners are invited to consider how they might navigate the delicate balance between curiosity and caution in their own lives. Unlike a monster that snaps or swallows, the siren's threat is contemplative, a soft but insistent pull on the imagination, engaging the mind while allowing the body to remain calm and secure. The environment of the sirens enhances their mystique. Imagine rocky outcrops rising from the sea like ancient sentinels, waves lapping softly against jagged edges, the wind carrying distant echoes of their song. The moonlight casts silvery shadows, highlighting the delicate interplay between the natural world and the mythic. The sirens seem almost inseparable from their surroundings, as if they are born of the rocks, the water, and the air itself. This blending of creature and environment creates an immersive experience for the listener, drawing the mind into visualization that is simultaneously calming and captivating. Each note of their imagined song becomes part of the rhythm of the sea, part of a gentle meditation on beauty, danger, and the interplay between them. There is also a lesson in patience and strategy embedded in these myths. Odysseus' encounter with the sirens demonstrates foresight, planning, and self-awareness. By preparing his crew and restraining himself, he navigates the danger without succumbing to it, turning potential peril into an opportunity for observation and learning. In this way, the sirens are not only a story of threat, they are a story of wisdom, illustrating how knowledge and preparation can transform challenges into manageable experiences. The gentle cadence of the tale allows the listener to absorb these insights subtly, without urgency, mirroring the meditative qualities of bedtime storytelling. Finally, the sirens remind us of the enduring power of human imagination. They are creatures born from observation, fear, curiosity, and the need to explain the unknown. Their song, though dangerous, is also a source of wonder, inviting listeners to explore the limits of perception and imagination. In picturing them, one might sense the gentle rise and fall of waves, the soft glimmer of moonlight on water, and the echo of a distant, impossible melody. It is in these moments of contemplation that the stories of Greek sea monsters take on their full power, not through fear, but through curiosity, reflection, and the immersive beauty of myth. As we drift past the sirens, hearing their song in the mind's ear, we continue our journey through the Greek seas, moving from creatures of physical terror to those whose danger is subtle, emotional, and intellectual. The sirens teach that beauty can be as captivating as threat, that the mind can be both enchanted and challenged, and that the most profound stories are those that engage imagination, reflection, and calm awareness. In this gentle space of thought and visualization, we are ready to continue exploring the wonders of these ancient waters, carrying forward lessons of awe, caution, and quiet contemplation.
Beyond the familiar tales of Scylla, Charybdis, and the sirens, the Greek seas were said to harbor even stranger and less well-known monsters, creatures whose forms and habits sparked imagination and wonder across generations. These beings were not always the focus of epic poems or heroic tales, but they played an essential role in the tapestry of Greek mythology, offering insight into the fears, curiosities, and storytelling traditions of ancient mariners. Picture the sea stretching endlessly under the soft glow of the moon, its surface calm yet hiding mysteries in the dark depths below. Somewhere beneath those ripples, it was said, lurked creatures so enormous, so bizarre, that they challenged the mind to comprehend them fully. It is in these quieter, lesser-known myths that the imagination of the Greeks shines most vividly, giving life to monsters that are as fascinating as they are mysterious. One of the most intriguing of these less familiar creatures is the Kraken-like sea beast, often described as a giant, tentacled animal capable of pulling ships beneath the waves. While the Kraken is more commonly associated with Norse or Scandinavian legends, similar beings appear in Greek myth, inspired perhaps by sightings of enormous squids or other deep-sea creatures. Ancient sailors, encountering something unfamiliar in the water, would transform their observations into stories that could explain the unexplainable. A sudden shadow beneath a ship, a thrashing tentacle, or the rolling of waves without wind could all give rise to legends of titanic beasts. In telling these stories gently, with pauses and descriptive detail, the danger becomes an invitation to imagine rather than a source of panic, perfectly suited to immersive, bedtime-style narration. Other lesser-known monsters include enormous fish with glowing eyes or serpentine forms that slithered through underwater caverns. These creatures, though seldom featured in heroic tales, were part of the same mythic ecosystem as Scylla and Charybdis. They represented the strangeness and vastness of the sea, the idea that life could exist in forms beyond ordinary comprehension. Ancient Greeks believed that the unknown depths were home to many such beings, creatures that might be glimpsed only briefly in moonlight or during stormy nights. The imagination could take these fleeting images and expand them into full-bodied monsters, giving personality, motive, and sometimes even malevolence to what might have been nothing more than a shadow in the waves. Many of these creatures were hybrids, combining traits of animals that sailors already knew with fantastical elements. Imagine a creature with the body of a fish, the wings of a bird, and multiple eyes that gleam like distant lanterns beneath the water. Perhaps it has a tail long enough to circle a ship or teeth sharp enough to rend wood as if it were paper. These combinations made the monsters both recognizable and alien, grounding them in a reality familiar to the Greeks while simultaneously elevating them into the realm of myth. In the calm, rhythmic telling of such stories, the mind is free to wander, filling in details, imagining the movement of water around massive forms, and exploring the wonder of life beyond ordinary sight. The presence of these lesser-known monsters also reflects a broader human impulse, the need to give shape to fear and the unknown. The sea, with its hidden depths, shifting currents, and occasional violent storms, was full of mysteries that defied explanation. By imagining creatures to inhabit these spaces, the Greeks could transform anxiety into narrative, curiosity into a visual and emotional experience, and danger into something that could be contemplated safely from shore or shipboard. These creatures were not merely objects of terror, they were companions to human imagination, guides through the shadowed waters of thought and creativity. Some of these monsters had stories associated with particular places or regions. Certain islands or coastal coves were said to be haunted by enormous serpents, while others were home to massive, glowing fish whose song could be heard at night. The landscape itself became intertwined with myth, turning every shadowed cliff and hidden inlet into a potential home for a new, mysterious being. In this way, geography, observation, and storytelling converged, creating a rich tapestry of legend that encouraged both awe and reflection. Listeners were invited to imagine the interplay between land and sea, danger and beauty, and to consider how even the most ordinary environments might conceal extraordinary wonders. Even creatures without fully developed stories contributed to the immersive quality of Greek mythology. A glimmer in the water, a rustle in the kelp, or a sudden swell in calm seas could be imagined as a living, thinking presence, a reminder that the ocean is vast, alive, and full of hidden marvels. In the hands of skilled storytellers, these glimpses became full narratives, complete with motivation, temperament, and personality. The imagination transformed the unknown into the narrative, allowing listeners to explore curiosity safely while engaging with the rhythm and mystery of the sea. These lesser-known monsters also highlight the creativity and depth of Greek myth. While Scylla and Charybdis dominate epic tales, the quieter stories of tentacled giants, glowing fish, and serpentine caverns reveal a culture attuned to subtlety, to observation, and to wonder. They show that myth is not only about heroism and terror but also about exploration, imagination, and reflection. In a calm, bedtime-style narrative, these monsters provide opportunities for the mind to wonder, to visualize, and to meditate on the vastness and mystery of the world. In imagining these creatures now, picture the gentle rocking of a small boat over moonlit waves, the water shimmering with reflected starlight, and the shadows beneath hinting at forms both enormous and graceful. Perhaps a tentacle brushes briefly against the surface, or a glowing eye peers from a distant reef, but there is no panic, only curiosity and wonder. The rhythm of the waves and the soft cadence of the narrative encourage the mind to explore safely, to drift through the ocean of imagination, and to experience the quiet awe of encountering the unknown. In this way, the lesser-known monsters of the Greek seas are just as important as the famous ones. They expand the imagination, deepen the world of myth, and invite calm reflection. They remind us that the ocean, both real and imagined, is vast, mysterious, and endlessly fascinating, filled with creatures that challenge our understanding while enchanting our minds. As we continue our journey through these ancient waters, these quieter monsters prepare us for the next stories, teaching patience, observation, and the beauty of curiosity as we drift gently deeper into the mythic world of Greek seas. Amidst the terrifying monsters and formidable serpents of the Greek seas, there existed creatures of a gentler, almost magical nature, the hippocampi, or sea horses. Unlike Scylla, Charybdis, or the giant serpents that inspired both fear and awe, these beings were often depicted as majestic, graceful hybrids of horse and fish, with the upper body of a horse and the tail of a fish, gliding effortlessly through the water. In the minds of the ancient Greeks, hippocampi were symbols of the beauty and mystery of the ocean, creatures that bridged the familiar world of land with the vast, unknown realm beneath the waves. Imagine the gentle rise and fall of waves under a twilight sky, the water catching the last golden light of the setting sun, and in that shimmering expanse, a group of hippocampi swims gracefully, their sleek forms moving with elegance and purpose. Unlike the monsters of peril, these creatures inspire wonder, curiosity, and a soothing sense of harmony with nature. Hippocampi were often associated with Poseidon, the god of the sea, who was believed to command them to pull his chariot across the ocean. In art and literature, they are depicted as loyal and strong, yet gentle, moving in perfect synchrony with the rhythm of the waves. Their presence in myths reminds us that the sea was not solely a domain of terror but also a source of beauty, joy, and enchantment. Sailors, artists, and storytellers alike celebrated these creatures, weaving them into tales of divine favor, adventure, and the serene majesty of the deep. They became symbols of guidance, protection, and the seamless blending of land and water, a reminder that even in a world filled with danger, there exists elegance and harmony. Visualizing hippocampi in the imagination is a calming exercise in itself. Picture the sunlight filtering through clear water, casting dancing patterns across their scales and sleek, undulating tails. Their movement is rhythmic and soothing, a gentle flow that mirrors the natural cadence of the sea. The sound of their movement through water is quiet yet powerful, a soft swish that blends seamlessly with the whisper of the waves. In a bedtime storytelling context, hippocampi offer a moment of reprieve, a chance to slow the pace, focus on grace and beauty, and let the imagination drift gently through an ocean filled with wonder rather than fear. The gentle power of these creatures is also reflected in their symbolic meanings. Hippocampi embody the harmonious relationship between humans and nature, the elegance of adaptation, and the mysteries that lie beneath familiar surfaces. They are reminders that not all power is aggressive or destructive and that grace, resilience, and guidance are equally important qualities in navigating life. In stories, they serve as companions for gods and heroes, aiding in journeys, transporting messages, or acting as guardians. These narratives encourage reflection on the balance between strength and gentleness, courage and calm, and the importance of observing and respecting the natural world. Interestingly, the Greeks often paired hippocampi with other mythological creatures to enrich the tapestry of their stories. They might be depicted alongside dolphins, nymphs, or sea deities, all moving in perfect harmony across the waves. This imagery creates a vivid, almost hypnotic tableau, where the ocean becomes a stage for beauty, rhythm, and intricate interaction. By imagining these scenes, listeners can engage deeply with the mythology, experiencing the environment and creatures in a way that is immersive, relaxing, and deeply satisfying. The calm movement of hippocampi across moonlit waters invites a meditative exploration of imagination, encouraging the mind to wander through the mysteries of the sea while remaining grounded in the gentle flow of narrative. Hippocampi also highlight the diversity of life and imagination in Greek mythology. While tales of monsters often dominate the narrative, these creatures remind us that myth is not limited to fear and danger. It also celebrates wonder, creativity, and the possibility of beauty in unexpected places. Their presence softens the harsher edges of the ocean, offering moments of peace and reflection, and showing that even amidst challenges, the world contains creatures and forces of elegance and benevolence. In bedtime storytelling, they provide balance, giving listeners space to breathe, to visualize gently moving forms, and to feel a sense of serenity as the story unfolds. The myths surrounding hippocampi often emphasize exploration and discovery. Sailors or heroes encountering these creatures might feel awe, reverence, or inspiration, their encounters reminding them of the vastness and mystery of the ocean. In a narrative sense, hippocampi offer moments of calm tension, curiosity, and wonder, providing contrast to the terror of Scylla or the power of Charybdis. Their appearances in stories allow for pauses in the narrative, where listeners can reflect on beauty, grace, and the enchanting qualities of the natural world, creating a rhythm in storytelling that is both engaging and relaxing. In imagining these creatures now, let your mind drift with the gentle waves, following the sleek, shimmering forms as they glide effortlessly beneath the surface. Picture their flowing tails, the reflective shimmer of scales, and the subtle movements of fins that propel them silently through water. Hear the quiet rush of water around them, blending with the gentle murmur of distant waves. Through this imagery, the hippocampi become companions in your imagination, guiding you through calm waters, teaching appreciation for subtle beauty, and allowing the mind to explore without urgency or fear. Ultimately, the hippocampi remind us of the full spectrum of the Greek seas, from terror to beauty, danger to elegance, chaos to harmony. They are not merely creatures to be admired but symbols of the balance and richness of life, reflections of the imagination, and gentle guides through the mysteries of the ocean. By focusing on their grace, their movement, and their role in mythology, we find a soothing pause in the narrative, a chance to contemplate beauty and serenity before continuing into the deeper, darker, and more thrilling corners of the mythic seas. As we drift further into these ancient waters, the hippocampi lead us with gentle currents, guiding our minds through wonder, imagination, and calm. They remind us that even in a world full of monsters, there is room for beauty, reflection, and quiet awe, preparing us to encounter the next creatures of the deep, each with their own lessons, mysteries, and soothing narrative rhythm. Among the waves and mysteries of the Greek seas, there exists a gentler, more enchanting class of beings, the sea nymphs, often referred to as nereids. These creatures, daughters of Nereus, the old man of the sea, and the Oceanids, are portrayed as embodiments of the beauty, grace, and fluidity of the ocean itself. Unlike the monsters and serpents that provoke fear or awe, nereids represent serenity, guidance, and the softer, more magical aspects of the marine world. In ancient myths, they are often described as young, radiant women, their hair flowing like seaweed in gentle currents, their skin shimmering with the reflection of moonlight on the water. In the imagination of sailors and storytellers, nereids glide effortlessly through the waves, accompanying gods, aiding lost travelers, or simply dancing through sunlit shoals. Their presence in the myths adds a sense of wonder, balance, and harmony to a world often dominated by danger and chaos. Visualizing the nereids is an exercise in calm imagination. Picture the quiet hour before dawn, when the sea is a pale silver mirror, reflecting the soft glow of stars fading behind the horizon. From beneath the surface, figures rise gracefully, their movement fluid and hypnotic, like the rhythm of the tides themselves. Their laughter, soft and melodic, blends with the gentle swish of waves against rocks and the distant call of seabirds. Each motion and gesture is deliberate yet effortless, a reflection of their connection to the sea's rhythm and beauty. Listening to tales of the nereids, or imagining them silently in the mind, evokes feelings of tranquility, wonder, and a deep connection to the natural world. In Greek mythology, the nereids often serve as guides or helpers for sailors and heroes navigating treacherous waters. They are not creatures of malice, but of wisdom and care, offering assistance to those who respect the sea and its mysteries. Some stories recount nereids aiding ships during storms, calming waves, or providing safe passage through hidden channels. Others depict them delivering messages or gifts from the gods, a reminder that the world of myth is as much about benevolence and protection as it is about peril. The tales encourage reflection on the value of respect, harmony, and attentiveness, teaching that kindness, awareness, and appreciation for natural forces can lead to guidance and safety. The Nereids also embody the interplay between the familiar and the extraordinary. Their forms are human, relatable, yet they possess qualities that mark them as otherworldly: skin that glimmers like water under sunlight, hair that floats as if in constant current, and eyes that hold the depth of the ocean itself. This duality allows the imagination to explore them safely, appreciating their beauty and magic without fear. The gentle tension between what is recognizable and what is fantastical is what makes stories of Nereids so captivating for listeners seeking immersive, reflective narratives. Unlike the monsters of the deep, the Nereids' allure is soothing, their presence a gentle invitation to explore imagination and wonder in a calm, contemplative state. They are also deeply symbolic in Greek thought. Nereids often represent the positive, nurturing, and protective qualities of the sea, in contrast to the threatening aspects embodied by creatures like Charybdis or Scylla. They remind us that even the most vast and unpredictable forces have their gentle side, that danger and beauty coexist, and that harmony is possible in even the wildest environments. Their stories encourage mindfulness, reflection, and appreciation for subtlety and grace, showing that the ocean, like life itself, contains both challenges and moments of serene joy. Interactions between humans and Nereids are frequently imbued with lessons in humility and respect. Heroes who encounter them are often reminded of the limitations of human power and the importance of listening, observing, and honoring forces greater than themselves. A story may describe a sailor saved from stormy waters by a gentle hand guiding the rudder or a radiant figure lifting a ship from treacherous currents. These narratives encourage the listener to consider the value of awareness, caution, and reverence, emphasizing that wisdom and patience are as vital as courage in navigating the unknown. In this way, Nereids serve as gentle teachers, their presence a calm counterbalance to the perils of the mythic sea. The environment in which Nereids dwell adds to their immersive charm. They are often imagined among coral reefs, sun-dappled shoals, or quiet coves where the water glows with the reflection of the sky. Small fish dart around them, and ribbons of seaweed sway with the current, enhancing the sense of movement and tranquility. The interaction of light, water, and creatures creates a dynamic tableau, a meditative setting where imagination can roam freely. This visualization allows the mind to experience the ocean in a peaceful, exploratory way, emphasizing beauty, rhythm, and wonder over fear or tension. Nereids are also frequently depicted in groups, moving in synchronized patterns that echo the natural flow of the sea. Watching them in imagination, one can sense a delicate balance, a coordination between beings and environment, movement and stillness. Their dance, so fluid and elegant, mirrors the pulse of the waves, the shifting tides, and the slow turn of the moon over the water. This imagery is inherently soothing, creating a narrative rhythm that aligns perfectly with relaxation and reflection. In storytelling for sleep or meditation, Nereids allow the audience to enter a gentle, almost hypnotic state, where focus shifts from external stress to vivid, calming visualization. Through their stories, the Nereids remind us of the many layers of the Greek seas, from danger to beauty, chaos to harmony. They teach that the unknown can be explored with curiosity rather than fear, and that imagination can transform even a potentially threatening world into a place of wonder. In their presence, the mind is invited to slow down, observe, and appreciate subtlety, motion, and grace, cultivating a sense of serenity as the narrative unfolds. As we imagine drifting through the calm waters alongside these radiant beings, we are reminded that Greek mythology is not solely about monsters or peril. It also celebrates beauty, magic, and the harmonious connection between humans and the natural world. The Nereids guide us gently, offering insight, comfort, and inspiration, preparing our minds to continue deeper into the mythic seas, where every creature, every wave, and every story carries its own lesson, its own rhythm, and its own tranquil charm. Among the myriad beings that inhabit the Greek seas, the Tritons occupy a fascinating space, bridging the worlds of gods, monsters, and humanity. Tritons are often depicted as mermen, with the upper body of a strong, handsome man and the tail of a powerful fish, moving through the ocean with grace and authority. Unlike the terrifying monsters that lurk in shadows or the seductive sirens whose songs can ensnare the mind, Tritons embody a sense of balance, guardianship, and connection to the divine. They are the children or attendants of Poseidon, carrying his influence across the waters and maintaining harmony among sea creatures and mortals alike. In mythology, Tritons often serve as heralds of the gods, messengers of divine will, or guides through treacherous waters, offering both protection and awe-inspiring spectacle. Imagine the scene: the soft glow of dawn spilling across calm seas, gentle waves lapping at the sides of a ship, and suddenly a figure emerges from the water. His muscular form rises, scales glimmering in the soft light, a long conch shell in hand. The Triton blows into it, producing a deep, resonant sound that echoes across the water. It is both commanding and soothing, a signal of power and reassurance, harmonizing with the rhythm of the sea. The sound rolls across the waves, drawing attention, marking presence, and instilling a quiet reverence. In a calm, meditative narrative, this image invites the imagination to wander freely, exploring the majesty of the sea and the creatures that dwell within it, while maintaining a sense of safety and serenity. Tritons are often described with attributes that emphasize both their strength and their connection to the ocean. Their tails are long and powerful, enabling swift movement through the currents, while their torsos are strong and fluid, blending human elegance with aquatic grace. Many are depicted holding tridents or conch shells, symbols of authority, communication, and divine power. Their eyes reflect wisdom as deep as the ocean, suggesting knowledge accumulated over centuries of navigating the seas. Such details provide vivid imagery for storytelling, allowing listeners to visualize them clearly, feel the presence of power and calm simultaneously, and drift comfortably into the rhythm of the narrative. In the myths, Tritons often interact with both mortals and other sea beings. They might guide ships past dangerous reefs, calm turbulent waters, or carry messages from Poseidon himself. Some stories depict them orchestrating the movements of other creatures, from the playful dolphins to formidable serpents, maintaining balance and order in the marine ecosystem. These narratives create a sense of interconnectedness, illustrating that the sea is a living, breathing world, where each being, whether divine, monstrous, or mortal, has a role to play. In the context of bedtime storytelling, such interwoven narratives encourage reflection, mindfulness, and an appreciation for harmony, as listeners can imagine the interconnected rhythms of ocean life without fear or tension. Tritons also symbolize authority tempered with care. Unlike monstrous figures whose power is threatening, or sirens whose beauty is dangerous, Tritons wield influence responsibly. Their presence reminds listeners that strength can be exercised with wisdom, and that power does not need to be feared when guided by balance and intention. In a storytelling context, this can be calming and reassuring, offering both a sense of order in the mythic seas and a model for reflection on human qualities such as leadership, guidance, and compassion. The depiction of Tritons often emphasizes motion and rhythm, enhancing the immersive quality of their stories. One might imagine them gliding just below the surface, their tails creating ripples that spread across the water, or leaping elegantly above the waves, scattering droplets that catch the early sunlight. Their movements are deliberate and graceful, blending strength with fluidity, creating a visual and auditory rhythm that mirrors the pulse of the sea. For listeners, such imagery encourages relaxation and mental visualization, making them feel as though they are floating alongside these majestic beings, experiencing the ebb and flow of mythic waters in a safe and calming space. In addition to their physical presence, Tritons often carry symbolic lessons about balance and harmony. Their interactions with mortals and other sea creatures illustrate the importance of attentiveness, respect, and communication. Heroes navigating dangerous waters may find themselves aided by Tritons who understand currents, weather, and hidden dangers, teaching that survival and success often come through cooperation and knowledge rather than brute force alone. The gentle cadence of these stories allows listeners to absorb lessons subtly, appreciating the interplay of caution, intelligence, and observation without urgency or stress. Triton's relationship with other sea beings also demonstrates the interconnectedness of the mythic ocean. They may guide hippocampi, nereids, or even more fearsome creatures, ensuring that chaos does not overtake the balance of the marine world. This reinforces a recurring theme in Greek mythology, that the world, even in its mysterious or threatening aspects, contains patterns, order, and wisdom. By including these creatures in storytelling, Listeners are invited to explore these patterns, engage their imagination, and reflect on the interconnectedness of life, all while being gently guided into relaxation and contemplation. Even in moments of dramatic narrative, such as Tritons calming storms or facing formidable adversaries, the tone can remain calm and immersive. By focusing on their grace, intelligence, and rhythm, the narrative shifts from fear to fascination, from tension to reflection. The Tritons teach that challenges can be met with skill and wisdom, that strength can coexist with serenity, and that the ocean is a realm of beauty, learning, and quiet wonder. As we drift with these mermen through moonlit currents and sun-dappled shallows, the Tritons remind us of the full spectrum of Greek sea mythology, from terrifying monsters to alluring nymphs, from hidden serpents to graceful guides. Their presence enriches the mythic landscape, offering both awe and calm, excitement and reflection. In the gentle cadence of bedtime-style storytelling, Tritons serve as anchors of reassurance and beauty, guiding us further into the enchanting, mysterious, and immersive world of the Greek seas, where every ripple and shadow carries a story, every movement has meaning, and every being, no matter how small or grand, contributes to the rhythm and magic of the ocean. As our journey through the Greek seas continues, it becomes impossible to separate the creatures and perils from the divine forces that govern them. Central among these powers is Poseidon, the mighty god of the sea, earthquakes, and horses, whose influence extends over every wave, current, and storm. Unlike monsters or mythical beings whose power is often localized or limited, Poseidon embodies the immense, overarching authority of the ocean itself. In myths, he is depicted with a trident, a symbol of control over the tides, storms, and all sea life. He could summon tempests or calm waters with a single motion, demonstrating the immense duality of the sea, beautiful and gentle one moment, fierce and dangerous the next. Imagining Poseidon in the quiet hours, his presence felt through subtle shifts in wind and wave, allows the mind to appreciate the majesty and unpredictability of nature through a lens of storytelling and reflection. Picture a quiet dawn on the Aegean Sea. The sky softens into gentle shades of pink and gold, and the waters ripple lightly, reflecting the emerging light. Somewhere beneath the surface, a shadow moves with purpose. A powerful hand rises from the water, gripping the trident, and the sea seems to respond, waves curling softly, a current shifting direction, a sudden shimmer across the water's surface. Poseidon's influence is not always visible, yet it is omnipresent. His presence permeates the myths, reminding mortals of the vastness and complexity of the world they navigate. In storytelling for sleep and relaxation, this imagery encourages listeners to feel the rhythm of the sea, to imagine gentle power flowing beneath the waves, and to sense the protective as well as awe-inspiring nature of divine influence. Poseidon's role in mythology extends beyond raw power. He is a god of both creation and destruction, responsible for shaping coastlines, forming islands, and nurturing marine life, as well as stirring tempests and summoning storms. Sailors of old revered him, leaving offerings to ensure safe passage and calm waters. In stories, he interacts with humans, creatures, and other gods, orchestrating events that teach lessons about respect, humility, and the delicate balance between strength and responsibility. By framing these interactions in a calm narrative style, the stories become meditative reflections on cause and effect, on the interconnection of all things, and on the subtle guidance of unseen forces. The creatures we have explored, Scylla, Charybdis, the sirens, hippocampi, tritons, and nereids, exist under the shadow of Poseidon's influence. Their behavior, habitats, and interactions are often framed as reflections of his will. For instance, tritons carry out his commands, nereids navigate the waters with his favor, and even the monsters of peril may act as instruments of divine warning or challenge. This unifying thread creates a cohesive narrative universe, allowing listeners to see the ocean as a living, breathing entity, shaped and guided by a force beyond comprehension. In bedtime storytelling, this creates a sense of wonder without alarm, as listeners can contemplate vast power in a safe, imaginative space. Poseidon's temper is legendary, and myths illustrate his dual nature with vivid imagery. When angered, he could summon storms, whirlpools, and earthquakes, reminding mortals that the sea cannot be tamed. Yet in calm moments, he might favor travelers, ensuring gentle currents and safe passages. These dualities mirror life itself, the unpredictability of the world and the need for respect, patience, and awareness. By describing these aspects in soft, deliberate narration, storytellers can create a hypnotic rhythm that captures attention while remaining soothing, allowing listeners to imagine power and majesty without fear, appreciating the balance of force and calm. Many myths highlight Poseidon's interactions with humans, often emphasizing moral and practical lessons. Heroes who navigated his waters successfully were those who respected the ocean, offered homage, and demonstrated courage tempered with wisdom. Conversely, those who showed hubris or recklessness often faced storms, shipwrecks, or encounters with monstrous creatures. In these narratives, Poseidon functions not merely as a figure of divine intervention but as a guide, teaching lessons about respect for nature, the importance of careful observation, and the rewards of patience and preparation. These stories carry a timeless relevance, offering reflection and gentle instruction in addition to mythic entertainment. The imagery associated with Poseidon is deeply evocative. One might imagine the glint of his trident under sunlight filtering through the waves, the ripple of currents following his movement, or the shimmering of sea creatures aligning to his rhythm. Even in moments of narrative tension, such as stormy seas or encounters with fearsome monsters, Poseidon's presence can be described in a way that is grand yet calming. The storytelling encourages the listener to visualize power harmoniously integrated with the environment, blending awe and relaxation in a way that is ideal for immersive, reflective engagement. Poseidon's influence also emphasizes the interconnectedness of all beings in the sea. The movements of waves, the behavior of sea creatures, and even the perilous monsters all exist within the ecosystem he governs. This interconnectedness mirrors larger truths about balance, interdependence, and respect for the forces that shape the world. By considering his influence, listeners are invited to imagine the ocean as a cohesive, dynamic system, where every ripple and current carries meaning, and where the dance of life is both beautiful and instructive. Even in storytelling designed for calm and reflection, Poseidon's myths carry a quiet thrill. The anticipation of a storm, the subtle shift in current, or the potential of encountering a mysterious creature all convey the depth and richness of the sea. Yet in the hands of a careful narrator, these elements are woven into a gentle cadence, allowing the mind to explore suspense and drama without tension. Listeners are drawn into the rhythm of waves, currents, and mythical beings, guided by a divine presence that is as protective as it is powerful. As we drift through these waters with Poseidon's unseen hand guiding the narrative, we see the Greek seas not merely as a realm of monsters and peril but as a complex, living world infused with divine wisdom, beauty, and rhythm. Poseidon reminds us that even the most vast and unpredictable forces can be contemplated safely, appreciated for their grandeur, and understood through reflection. His presence weaves together the tales of every creature, every current, and every myth, creating a cohesive, immersive universe in which listeners can safely explore wonder, curiosity, and the calming cadence of the ocean's eternal flow. As we continue our voyage through the mythic Greek seas, it becomes impossible to ignore the stories of famous shipwrecks and legendary sea voyages. These tales are not merely accounts of peril or loss, they are narratives rich with suspense, reflection, and the delicate interplay between human endeavor and the unpredictable forces of nature. In the soft glow of moonlight or the gentle hush of dawn, one can almost picture ancient ships gliding through the waves, their sails taut with wind, carrying heroes, merchants, or travelers whose fates are intertwined with the mysteries of the sea. Each journey, each shipwreck, carries lessons about courage, resilience, and the consequences of both hubris and reverence for the ocean. By telling these stories slowly and with a soothing cadence, the mind is invited to explore tension and triumph simultaneously, a gentle meditation on the human experience in the context of mythic waters. One of the most famous voyages in Greek mythology is that of Odysseus, whose journey home from Troy spans years, fraught with encounters with monsters, divine beings, and treacherous seas. The ship itself becomes a character, rocking gently yet unpredictably under the whims of Poseidon, carrying a crew whose strength, wit, and patience are continually tested. Every storm, every encounter with strange creatures, is a moment of suspense transformed into reflection when narrated slowly, allowing listeners to visualize each detail, the creak of the hull, the slap of waves, the distant shimmer of rocks hidden beneath the water's surface. Shipwrecks in these stories are not only physical events but symbolic markers of the challenges, lessons, and growth that accompany long journeys through life and imagination. In addition to Odysseus, other legendary journeys include the Argonauts, led by Jason in search of the Golden Fleece. Their voyage takes them through treacherous waters inhabited by monsters, sirens, and shifting currents. Each stop along their path is imbued with tension and wonder, from sudden storms to encounters with mystical beings, teaching lessons about teamwork, courage, and cleverness. For listeners, imagining the Argonauts navigating these challenges in slow, vivid detail provides both excitement and a gentle rhythm, echoing the ebb and flow of waves and the natural pulse of the ocean. These stories remind us that even in danger, beauty and reflection coexist, and that challenges are often accompanied by moments of awe and revelation. Shipwrecks themselves hold a special place in Greek mythology. They are moments when the forces of the sea, whether natural or divine, overwhelm human endeavor. Yet even in the face of disaster, myths often focus on resilience, ingenuity, and divine intervention. Heroes or sailors may wash ashore on unfamiliar islands, encounter magical beings, or find unexpected guidance from gods or nymphs. These events teach that loss is not necessarily final, and that even in moments of apparent failure, the world holds opportunities for growth, insight, and renewal. Bedtime-style storytelling emphasizes the reflective aspects of these tales, allowing the imagination to explore danger without fear, focusing on recovery, adaptation, and wonder. The landscapes of shipwreck myths add a layer of immersion and contemplation. Imagine jagged rocks rising from the sea, partially hidden by mist, or hidden shoals where waves break silently yet powerfully. Consider the interplay of light and shadow, the glint of the moon on wet wood, and the gentle motion of water carrying debris or remnants of long-lost vessels. These images provide rich mental textures for listeners, encouraging visualization and engagement with the story in a calm, meditative way. The tension of a potential shipwreck is softened by the rhythm of narrative, which balances suspense with reflection, awe with serenity, and fear with curiosity. The role of divine influence in these voyages is ever present. Poseidon, as we have explored, might unleash storms in response to anger or hubris, while Nereids, Tritons, or other benevolent beings guide sailors to safety. This interplay between human action and divine oversight creates a layered narrative, where each shipwreck or safe passage is part of a larger tapestry of cause, consequence, and cosmic order. In immersive storytelling, these elements are highlighted not for terror but for rhythm and wonder, allowing listeners to feel the pulse of mythic cause and effect while remaining relaxed and engaged. Shipwreck myths also emphasize preparation, cleverness, and teamwork. Odysseus binds himself to the mast to resist the sirens, while the Argonauts use cunning to navigate treacherous waters. These examples illustrate that heroism is as much about thoughtfulness as it is about bravery. In a gentle narrative, such moments encourage reflection on strategy, awareness, and the subtle art of navigating challenges, whether literal or metaphorical. The ebb and flow of these stories mirror the waves themselves, creating a calming cadence that is both captivating and restful. Even in moments of peril, the Greek seas in these stories are depicted as full of beauty. Sunlight dances on the waves, islands appear like emerald jewels, and dolphins or hippocampi glide beside ships. This balance between danger and delight allows for storytelling that is immersive yet soothing, engaging both the imagination and the senses. Listeners are invited to experience suspense without alarm, or without anxiety, and curiosity without tension. It is this gentle duality that makes shipwreck myths particularly suitable for bedtime-style narratives, where calm and engagement coexist. Finally, shipwrecks and voyages remind us of the scale and mystery of the Greek seas. They are places of exploration, challenge, and discovery, where every journey carries lessons about human nature, the natural world, and the divine. By imagining these tales slowly, with attention to detail, rhythm, and sensory imagery, listeners are drawn into a reflective state, contemplating courage, resilience, beauty, and the unpredictability of life. Shipwreck myths, in essence, teach that even when events seem overwhelming, the world holds opportunities for guidance, learning, and wonder. As we drift through the calm after the storms, through waters both perilous and enchanting, these legendary voyages leave us with a sense of awe and reflection. The ships, the heroes, the divine interventions, and even the shipwrecks themselves contribute to a rich narrative tapestry that engages the imagination, soothes the mind, and illuminates the profound mysteries of the Greek seas. In this gentle rhythm, the story unfolds, inviting listeners to float with it, exploring the ebb and flow of myth, adventure, and the quiet beauty of the ocean's timeless depths. In the depths of the Greek seas, many myths recount legendary battles between heroes and fearsome monsters, encounters that test courage, ingenuity, and the very limits of human endurance. These stories are not merely tales of violence or terror, they are narratives filled with suspense, strategy, and the delicate interplay between fear and wonder. Picture a moonlit night on the Aegean, waves lapping softly against a small ship, when suddenly a shadow shifts beneath the surface. The calm is broken not by panic, but by anticipation, as a colossal creature rises, its eyes glinting like distant lanterns and its form seeming to ripple with ancient power. In these moments, the Greek imagination captures both danger and fascination, creating a vivid tableau that can be experienced safely in the mind, especially when recounted in a gentle, reflective tone ideal for bedtime storytelling. One of the most famous encounters is Odysseus's confrontation with Scylla and Charybdis. These two monsters, positioned on opposite sides of a narrow strait, represent both immediate danger and moral complexity. Scylla, with her multiple heads and ravenous appetite, embodies the unavoidable perils of life, forces that must be navigated carefully, no matter how prepared one may be. Charybdis, the enormous whirlpool, represents nature's unpredictability, capable of swallowing ships whole in an instant. The story of Odysseus's passage emphasizes strategy, courage, and the acceptance of limitations. He cannot defeat Scylla, nor can he control Charybdis entirely, yet through careful decision-making and timing, he minimizes loss and ensures survival. Narrating this story slowly, with vivid yet calm imagery, allows listeners to explore tension and heroism without anxiety, emphasizing thoughtfulness, patience, and measured action. Other myths recount battles with less familiar sea monsters, creatures whose forms are bizarre, hybrid, and fantastical. Imagine a giant serpent with scales that shimmer like molten bronze, twisting through hidden coves, or a tentacled leviathan capable of pulling entire ships beneath the waves. In these stories, heroes must rely on cunning, agility, and sometimes divine assistance to overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. The danger is palpable, yet when recounted in a calm narrative, it becomes a meditation on resilience and resourcefulness. The focus shifts from fear to the process of problem-solving, observation, and the careful navigation of the unknown. Divine intervention often plays a crucial role in these legendary battles. Tritons may appear to guide a hero's path, Nereids might offer hints or aid, and Poseidon's subtle influence can shift the currents to favor or challenge the protagonist. These elements create a layered narrative universe in which every action has consequence, every choice matters, and every encounter carries lessons about respect, preparation, and humility. For listeners, this provides a gentle sense of order and pattern within the seeming chaos, making the stories both immersive and soothing. The creatures themselves are depicted with a mixture of terror and elegance. Their movements are fluid, rhythmic, and almost hypnotic, gliding through the waves with grace even as they threaten destruction. Eyes glow with intelligence, scales reflect the moonlight, and tentacles or serpentine bodies move with a mesmerizing, sinuous motion. This combination of danger and beauty allows the imagination to explore fascination and tension simultaneously, creating a calming engagement with suspense rather than alarm. Listeners can envision each moment clearly, appreciating the form, rhythm, and majesty of the creatures while remaining safe in the mental space of storytelling. Battles with sea monsters also highlight the theme of adaptability. Heroes often face situations where brute force alone is insufficient. They must observe, strategize, and adapt to shifting circumstances, learning to respect the powers of the natural and divine world. A hero might use ropes, clever positioning, or timing with the tide to survive, emphasizing that intelligence, observation, and patience are just as important as courage. In a slow, meditative narrative, these lessons become gentle reflections on problem-solving, mindfulness, and the balance between action and contemplation. The environment in these stories plays an equally important role. Waves, currents, rocks, and hidden shoals all interact with heroes and monsters alike, shaping the course of each encounter. The sea itself becomes a character, alive and responsive, challenging listeners to visualize depth, movement, and flow. Sunlight or moonlight reflecting on the waves adds texture to the narrative, while the subtle sound of water enhances the immersive quality. Through careful storytelling, these settings provide a calming, rhythmic backdrop, transforming tension into a hypnotic exploration of space, form, and motion. Many legendary battles conclude not with the complete destruction of the monsters but with equilibrium restored. Some creatures retreat, others are tamed or circumvented, and heroes learn that survival is as much about understanding, respect, and timing as it is about victory. This subtle resolution underscores the idea that the world is balanced, that power can be managed without complete domination, and that challenges often offer opportunities for reflection and growth. In a bedtime-style narrative, this reinforces calmness and contemplation, offering listeners a satisfying sense of closure and harmony. Finally, these stories remind us of the broader themes of Greek mythology: courage tempered by wisdom, respect for forces beyond human control, and the interplay between danger, beauty, and reflection. By imagining the battles slowly, with attention to detail, rhythm, and sensory imagery, the mind can explore suspense without fear, appreciating heroism, strategy, and grace simultaneously. The legendary battles of the Greek seas, therefore, serve as both entertainment and gentle meditation, guiding listeners through awe, curiosity, and calm, encouraging imagination while soothing the mind. As we drift past these mythic confrontations, the echoes of monsters and heroes linger, not as threats but as lessons in balance, courage, and reflection. Each wave carries the rhythm of past encounters, each shadow beneath the water hints at unseen wonders, and each story invites the imagination to wander safely through the vast, mysterious, and enchanting world of the Greek seas. In the gentle cadence of these narratives, danger transforms into fascination, challenge into contemplation, and myth into a soothing voyage of wonder and imagination. As we drift further into the mythic Greek seas, we encounter one of the most mesmerizing and enigmatic beings of all, the sirens. Unlike the monstrous threats of Scylla or the whirlpool danger of Charybdis, the sirens wield a different kind of power, one that lures, captivates, and entrances. In myths, they are often depicted as part woman, part bird, their bodies graceful, their voices hauntingly beautiful. Their songs carry an irresistible charm, drawing sailors toward rocky shores, often with perilous consequences. Yet in the soft cadence of bedtime storytelling, the siren's danger becomes an invitation to explore curiosity, caution, and the power of perception, allowing listeners to experience fascination without alarm. Imagine a quiet evening at sea, with waves rippling softly under the pale glow of moonlight. A ship moves steadily across the gentle swell, carrying its crew into the unknown. In the distance, a melody begins, delicate and shimmering, weaving through the night air. It is the song of the sirens, echoing across the water, carrying promises of knowledge, beauty, and revelation. Their voices seem to resonate with the very rhythm of the sea, harmonizing with the lapping waves and the whisper of the wind. The sirens are neither purely malevolent nor entirely benevolent. They exist in a liminal space between allure and danger, a reflection of the duality of desire and discipline, curiosity and caution. The imagery of the sirens is captivating. Their wings glint in the moonlight, feathers catching the subtle silver glow, while their eyes reflect an intelligence and awareness that is at once comforting and unnerving. Their forms are elegant, their movements fluid as they perch on rocky outcrops or glide just above the water's surface. In the mind's eye, one can observe them in a slow, hypnotic rhythm, their song weaving a tapestry of sound that seems to bend the very space around it. Bedtime-style storytelling emphasizes this rhythm, focusing on the ebb and flow of their melody, the gentle undulation of waves, and the soft interplay of light and shadow, creating a sense of calm fascination rather than alarm. The sirens' allure is symbolic as much as it is literal. Their songs often promise knowledge, pleasure, or hidden truths, appealing to the deepest desires and curiosity of humans. Sailors, lured by the beauty of the sound, must exercise caution, discipline, and cleverness to navigate safely. Odysseus's journey provides a perfect example. He instructs his crew to plug their ears with beeswax, while he himself is bound to the mast to hear the song without succumbing to it. This narrative emphasizes self-awareness, strategy, and the balance between curiosity and restraint. In a gentle narrative, listeners can explore the tension between temptation and discipline without feeling fear, reflecting on the value of mindfulness and careful choice. The environment surrounding the sirens enhances their hypnotic charm. Rocky islands rise from the gentle swell of the sea, partially hidden by mist and shadow, creating a stage that is both mysterious and serene. Waves lap softly against jagged cliffs, and the reflection of moonlight on wet stones adds a subtle shimmer to the scene. Dolphins or other small sea creatures might move near the rocks, blending movement, sound, and light into a tableau that is simultaneously enchanting and contemplative. This layered imagery allows the mind to wander through the narrative, absorbing detail, rhythm, and texture, and creating a meditative mental landscape in which danger is abstract and fascination is foregrounded. Encounters with the sirens are also stories of choice and awareness. Sailors who listen without preparation risk distraction, misjudgment, or destruction, while those who navigate wisely gain insight, experience, and survival. The narrative encourages reflection on personal limits, perception, and the subtle interplay between desire and prudence. It is a lesson in recognizing that beauty and allure, while captivating, may conceal risk, and that careful attention and preparation can transform potential peril into opportunity for understanding and growth. These symbolic lessons align perfectly with calm, immersive storytelling, offering intellectual and emotional engagement without urgency or tension. The siren songs are often described as hypnotic, blending melody with an almost physical sensation that seems to ripple through the air and water alike. In the mind, one can imagine the gentle pull of sound, subtle yet insistent, encouraging attention while allowing reflection. Their music is a perfect metaphor for the interplay between imagination and control. Listeners can drift within the melody, exploring its beauty without losing grounding or calm. This hypnotic quality makes the sirens ideal subjects for immersive, bedtime-style narratives, where rhythm, repetition, and sensory imagery enhance relaxation while sustaining curiosity and wonder. Even in moments of narrative tension, such as the ship nearing rocky shores or sailors struggling against the allure of the song, the focus remains on mindfulness, patience, and strategy. The sirens do not need to be terrifying to be compelling. Their power lies in seduction, rhythm, and subtle influence. In the storytelling, these encounters become meditative exercises, emphasizing observation, inner control, and the gentle thrill of fascination rather than panic. Listeners are encouraged to visualize, to sense, and to reflect, cultivating a state of relaxed awareness that harmonizes with the flow of narrative and the imagined rhythm of the sea. Finally, the sirens remind us that the Greek seas are places of layered experience, where danger and beauty coexist, where curiosity must be balanced with wisdom, and where every encounter carries lessons in perception, patience, and understanding. They are symbols of allure, reflection, and the careful negotiation of temptation and insight, offering listeners the opportunity to drift calmly through a story rich in sensory detail, rhythm, and imagination. In their song, we hear the pulse of the mythic ocean itself, a melody that invites wonder, reflection, and the gentle unfolding of the imagination. As we leave the rocky islets behind, the echoes of the sirens' songs linger softly in the mind, carrying lessons of curiosity, caution, and the serene, hypnotic beauty of the Greek seas. They prepare us for the next encounters, the next myths, and the unfolding stories of creatures, heroes, and divine influence, guiding us deeper into a world where imagination flows as endlessly and gently as the tides themselves. As we continue our gentle journey through the mythic Greek seas, it becomes impossible to overlook the legendary whirlpools and oceanic hazards that both fascinated and terrified ancient sailors. Among the most famous of these is Charybdis, a colossal whirlpool that churns the waters of narrow straits with irresistible force. Unlike monsters that can be fought or outmaneuvered with cleverness or speed, Charybdis represents the unstoppable, awe-inspiring power of nature itself. Her presence is both terrifying and mesmerizing, a reminder that the sea can be as unpredictable and dynamic as the human imagination. In the calm cadence of bedtime storytelling, these hazards become exercises in reflection and visualization, allowing listeners to experience tension without alarm, and to appreciate the rhythm, power, and patterns of the ocean in a safe, meditative space. Imagine a quiet morning at sea, the waves gentle, the sky painted in soft hues of gold and lavender. In the distance, the water begins to swirl subtly, currents shifting and converging. Beneath the surface, the pull of Charybdis gathers momentum, creating spirals of movement that hint at immense energy below. The phenomenon is neither malevolent nor random, it is natural, elemental, and awe-inspiring, demanding respect and careful attention from all who navigate these waters. Sailors of myth understood that survival required observation, patience, and skill. In a bedtime-style narrative, such imagery encourages listeners to visualize movement, depth, and energy without fear, cultivating a sense of wonder at the forces that shape the natural world. Charybdis is often paired with Scylla, her monstrous counterpart across the narrow strait. While Scylla represents imminent danger that must be avoided, Charybdis embodies unavoidable natural force, a challenge that cannot be overcome through strength alone. Together, they create a narrative tension that is both dramatic and meditative. The journey between them becomes a test of skill, awareness, and composure. Sailors must navigate carefully, timing their movements and observing subtle shifts in currents and wind. In storytelling for relaxation, these sequences are described slowly, emphasizing rhythm, anticipation, and the delicate interplay between control and surrender, transforming potential fear into mindful engagement with the story. Other oceanic hazards of Greek mythology also capture the imagination. Hidden reefs, sudden storms, treacherous tides, and shifting sands all serve as reminders of the unpredictability of the sea. These hazards are often personified in myths, given character and presence, allowing listeners to engage with them as dynamic forces rather than abstract danger. For instance, sudden tempests may be attributed to Poseidon's temper, while whirlpools or unpredictable currents reflect the restless energy of the ocean itself. By framing these hazards in narrative form, the stories allow for reflection on caution, respect, and adaptability, encouraging a gentle awareness of risk without alarm. The visualization of whirlpools and other oceanic phenomena is particularly immersive. Picture the surface of the sea shimmering under sunlight, waves rising and falling in gentle patterns. Beneath the calm exterior, currents twist and turn, creating spirals that ripple outward, influencing the movement of fish, seaweed, and even the smallest boats. Observing these patterns in the imagination engages attention and curiosity while maintaining a soothing rhythm. The interplay of motion, reflection, and light offers a meditative experience, allowing the listener to explore tension and energy safely, guided by the narrative's calm cadence. Sailors in myth often face these hazards with a combination of courage, observation, and divine assistance. Guidance from Nereids, advice from Tritons, or the favor of Poseidon could mean the difference between safe passage and disaster. These stories reinforce the value of preparation, awareness, and respect for forces beyond human control. In a reflective narrative, these lessons are conveyed subtly, emphasizing mindfulness and measured action rather than fear, and creating a sense of empowerment through understanding and attentiveness. Even the most dramatic moments, such as a ship narrowly avoiding the pull of Charybdis, are softened in bedtime storytelling. The focus is on movement, rhythm, and observation. The ship tilts gently with the waves, currents swirl with hypnotic patterns, and the crew moves with synchronized care, navigating each challenge with patience and ingenuity. This slow, deliberate pacing transforms suspense into meditation, tension into fascination, and peril into controlled reflection, allowing listeners to visualize and feel the scene while remaining calm and relaxed. The oceanic hazards also symbolize larger truths about life and nature. Whirlpools and treacherous currents remind us that some challenges cannot be overcome by force alone, that patience, observation, and humility are necessary to navigate complex situations. They teach that danger and beauty often coexist, that even the most powerful forces of nature can be appreciated with respect, and that understanding patterns, whether in currents, tides, or life itself, can guide one safely through uncertainty. In the context of immersive storytelling, these lessons are conveyed through visualization, pacing, and sensory detail, allowing the listener to absorb meaning gently and reflectively. Finally, these myths emphasize the interconnectedness of the sea. Every whirlpool, reef, and shifting tide interacts with creatures, ships, and the divine influence of Poseidon. This interconnectedness creates a dynamic narrative tapestry, in which each hazard has purpose, context, and rhythm. Listeners can explore the ebb and flow of this ecosystem, observing movement, cause, and effect, all while drifting in a safe, contemplative mental space. The sea becomes a living entity, full of beauty, complexity, and gentle suspense, offering both awe and relaxation. As we navigate past Charybdis and other oceanic hazards, the mind is invited to reflect on balance, timing, and the rhythm of nature. The Greek seas are places of wonder, where challenges teach respect, resilience, and mindfulness, and where even danger can become a source of fascination and contemplation. In the gentle cadence of these narratives, whirlpools and hazards transform from threats into immersive meditation, guiding the imagination through a world of motion, beauty, and eternal rhythm, preparing the listener for the next encounter with mythic marvels of the deep. As we continue drifting through the mythic Greek seas, the influence of the sirens extends beyond immediate danger, reaching into the realm of sailors' dreams, thoughts, and imagination. In myths, their enchanting voices are said to linger long after the ships have passed, echoing in the minds of those who sailed too close, inspiring reflection, creativity, and sometimes even unease. Unlike the tangible threats of Scylla or Charybdis, the sirens operate in a subtler dimension, touching not the body but the mind. Their songs are both a cautionary tale and a gentle invitation to explore the boundaries of desire, curiosity, and awareness. In bedtime-style storytelling, this allows listeners to experience the hypnotic pull of imagination and wonder without alarm, transforming fascination into meditative reflection. Imagine a sailor resting below deck after a long day at sea. The wind hums softly through the rigging, the waves ripple gently against the hull, and in the half-light of the cabin, a distant melody drifts through the air. It is not physical danger that lingers here, but the echo of the siren's song, a gentle reminder of curiosity, imagination, and longing. The sailor's mind may wander, picturing distant shores, radiant creatures, and impossible landscapes, each imagined in soft, vivid detail. The siren's influence, in this sense, becomes a conduit for creativity, reflection, and the blending of reality with the fantastical, inviting listeners to drift alongside the imagination itself in a calm and safe mental space. The siren's effect on dreams is particularly fascinating. In myths, sailors who survived their songs often reported vivid visions, fantastical journeys, and fleeting glimpses of knowledge beyond human reach. The songs awaken parts of the mind attuned to creativity, curiosity, and introspection. Listeners can imagine these dreams unfolding slowly, like gentle waves lapping against the shore of consciousness, each vision shimmering and dissolving with soft rhythm. In this context, the sirens are less a threat and more a guide into the subconscious, encouraging reflection, gentle wonder, and exploration of ideas and images that might otherwise remain hidden. Their influence also illustrates the delicate balance between curiosity and discipline. Sailors who listened unwisely to the siren songs were drawn toward peril, yet those who approached with caution and strategy could absorb insight without harm. This duality mirrors the mind's own relationship with imagination. Exploration is valuable and enriching, but it requires awareness and grounding. In storytelling, this theme is emphasized through slow pacing, sensory imagery, and detailed visualization, allowing listeners to engage with subtle tension safely and contemplatively, enhancing both relaxation and mental focus. The siren songs are often described as multilayered, blending melody, rhythm, and suggestion into a cohesive, mesmerizing experience. Imagine their voices weaving together in harmony, each note carrying hints of ancient knowledge, distant lands, or secret truths. The mind drifts in response, guided by the cadence of sound and the hypnotic sway of mental imagery. This immersive experience encourages a state of reflective attention, where the listener is fully present in the narrative, appreciating its beauty and complexity, yet safely removed from any actual danger. The song becomes a meditative tool, synchronizing with the gentle rhythm of breathing, heartbeat, and the imagined motion of the sea. Sailors' encounters with sirens often leave lingering lessons, subtle reflections embedded in memory. They learn to recognize patterns, anticipate outcomes, and exercise judgment under the influence of temptation or distraction. In bedtime-style storytelling, these lessons are not delivered through tension or fear but through calm, measured narrative. The listener is encouraged to reflect on the interplay between curiosity and caution, imagination and awareness, desire and restraint. This creates a gentle cognitive engagement, a mental exercise in mindfulness and observation that parallels the rhythm of waves and the hypnotic flow of the sirens' melodies. The environment surrounding these experiences is equally important for immersion. Picture moonlight shimmering across calm waters, soft ripples reflecting starlight, and distant rocky islands that rise like quiet sentinels. The wind carries faint echoes of melody, and the gentle creak of the ship's timbers harmonizes with the imagined song. Small sea creatures, like dolphins or shimmering fish, move beneath the surface, adding subtle motion and texture. These details enhance visualization, making the narrative not just a story but a full sensory experience that promotes relaxation, creativity, and a feeling of safe exploration. Even after the immediate danger has passed, the siren's influence remains in the quiet moments of contemplation. Sailors might recall glimpses of beauty, imagined creatures, or insights inspired by the songs. In the mind, these echoes serve as gentle guides, fostering reflection on courage, curiosity, and the mysteries of the unknown. For listeners, this provides an opportunity to engage with mythic elements in a peaceful, immersive way, allowing imagination to expand while the body and mind remain relaxed. The siren's effect on sailors' dreams also highlights the enduring power of storytelling itself. Tales of their songs and influence are passed down through generations, teaching lessons about the interplay between human desire, imagination, and the forces beyond our control. By framing these stories in a calm, immersive style, narrators allow listeners to explore both myth and mind, gently guiding them through suspense, beauty, and reflection. The narrative becomes a shared journey, bridging the mythic past and the reflective present, fostering wonder, insight, and relaxation simultaneously. Ultimately, the sirens remind us that the Greek seas are as much about imagination, reflection, and subtle influence as they are about monsters, storms, or divine intervention. Their songs linger in the mind, guiding thought, inspiring vision, and encouraging exploration of both external and internal landscapes. Through careful storytelling, we can drift safely with these melodies, embracing the calm fascination of imagination, the gentle pull of curiosity, and the serene, hypnotic beauty of mythic waters. As the echoes of the sirens fade into the night, the mind remains attuned to the rhythm of the sea, the gentle pulse of waves, and the soft, lingering wonder of myth. These influences prepare the listener for the next stage of our journey through the Greek seas, where more creatures, more challenges, and more moments of reflection await, all narrated with a calm, immersive cadence that soothes the mind and sparks the imagination. As our journey through the mythic Greek seas continues, we arrive at the mystical islands and hidden coves that pepper the ocean, each shrouded in legend and quiet enchantment. These secluded places, often only glimpsed in the fleeting light of dawn or the soft glow of twilight, serve as settings for extraordinary events, encounters with divine beings, and moments of reflection and discovery. Unlike the open sea, with its storms, monsters, and endless horizons, these islands offer pockets of calm, secret havens where heroes, sailors, and even mortals seeking solitude may find respite, guidance, or revelation. In bedtime-style storytelling, the gentle unfolding of these landscapes allows listeners to drift through mythic scenery, cultivating relaxation, wonder, and the meditative pleasure of imagination. Picture a hidden cove tucked between steep, rocky cliffs, where the waters are clear and still, reflecting the warm hues of a rising sun. A soft mist rises from the surface, curling around outcroppings of moss-covered stone, while gentle waves lap against the sand with a hypnotic rhythm. Perhaps a grove of olive trees or fragrant herbs grows nearby, their leaves rustling softly in the morning breeze. In this tranquil setting, one can imagine sea creatures swimming beneath the surface, fish with glimmering scales darting through shafts of light, and dolphins or sea nymphs moving gracefully in harmony with the water. These details create a rich, layered mental tableau, engaging sight, sound, and motion, while maintaining a sense of calm immersion. Many of these islands hold stories of divine presence. Nymphs, minor deities, or benevolent spirits are said to inhabit secluded coves, offering protection, counsel, or sometimes gentle mischief to those who arrive. For example, some myths describe mortals discovering islands where nereids emerge from the water to guide them safely, or where a hidden pool reflects visions of the past and future. These tales carry a quiet, reflective magic, suggesting that the world is full of subtle wonders waiting to be noticed by those who approach with curiosity, respect, and patience. For listeners, these narratives encourage imaginative exploration while maintaining a soothing, meditative tone. Mystical islands often serve as stages for both rest and adventure. Heroes may land to repair their ships, gather provisions, or recover from harrowing encounters with sea monsters. Others might find themselves challenged with riddles, puzzles, or encounters that test courage, wit, or morality. In storytelling for relaxation, these moments are narrated slowly, focusing on sensory imagery, the scent of salt and herbs, the sound of gentle waves, the warmth of sunlight on skin, allowing the mind to immerse itself in the setting rather than tense over conflict. The narrative emphasis shifts from danger to observation, reflection, and appreciation of the mythical environment. Hidden coves, in particular, are places of subtle magic. Imagine a narrow inlet, where water pools between rocks, creating a serene, mirror-like surface. Soft rays of sunlight illuminate the scene, casting dancing patterns across the sand and stones. Birds or winged creatures perch quietly on cliffs, occasionally dipping toward the water with delicate grace. Perhaps a tritown or nereid glides just beneath the surface, observing with curiosity, their presence adding a sense of wonder and connection without alarm. These coves become sanctuaries in the mind, places to pause, breathe, and absorb the beauty and rhythm of the sea, reinforcing calmness and contemplative engagement. Some islands carry the weight of legend more heavily than others. They may be home to treasure, forgotten temples, or mystical plants with healing properties. In myths, these sites are often rewards for careful navigation, clever thinking, or acts of respect toward the divine. Sailors and heroes learn that approaching with reverence and awareness ensures safe discovery, while recklessness may result in minor misfortune or disorientation. These narrative elements offer symbolic lessons in mindfulness, patience, and attentiveness, blending calm reflection with subtle anticipation, ideal for bedtime-style storytelling. The sensory details of islands and coves are particularly effective for immersion. Consider the subtle aroma of salt and wildflowers, the gentle lapping of water against rock, the whisper of wind through hidden groves, or the soft call of distant seabirds. Even small movements, such as fish shifting beneath the surface or sunlight flickering across waves, enhance the hypnotic rhythm of the narrative. Listeners are invited to notice patterns, textures, and motions, creating a reflective, meditative state that emphasizes calm, curiosity, and gentle engagement with the story world. Mystical islands also serve as crossroads between human, natural, and divine realms. They are places where mortals encounter nereids, tritons, or even Poseidon himself, often in subtle, quiet ways. These encounters are rarely dramatic, rather, they emphasize guidance, observation, and learning. A hero may gain insight from a whispered warning, a gentle current, or the sudden appearance of a glowing creature beneath the waves. In this way, the islands become spaces of quiet education, fostering understanding of the sea, its creatures, and the divine forces at play. Listeners experience these interactions in a calm, immersive rhythm, blending imagination with reflection. Even in moments of narrative tension, such as approaching an island shrouded in mist or navigating tricky inlets, the storytelling remains slow, detailed, and sensory-rich. Every rock, wave, and shadow is described with care, emphasizing observation, patience, and harmony with the environment rather than danger or fear. The listener is encouraged to follow the narrative as one would a gentle tide, drifting with curiosity, absorbing imagery, and reflecting on both the physical and symbolic aspects of the scene. Ultimately, mystical islands and hidden coves remind us that the Greek seas are not solely domains of monsters or peril. They are spaces of beauty, reflection, guidance, and wonder. Through slow, detailed, and immersive storytelling, listeners can explore these realms safely, experiencing the rhythms of waves, the subtle magic of hidden groves, and the gentle presence of divine and mythical beings. These islands invite the imagination to wander freely, fostering calm, curiosity, and a meditative connection with the mythic world of the ocean. As we leave the secluded coves behind and continue our journey across the vast, shimmering seas, the mind carries the impressions of gentle waves, soft light, and secret beauty. These mystical islands serve as quiet reminders that even in the unknown, there are places of rest, wonder, and reflection, guiding the listener deeper into the immersive, soothing, and endlessly fascinating world of Greek mythology and the boundless imagination of the ocean. As we continue our gentle voyage through the mythic Greek seas, we encounter the elegant and enigmatic beings known as sea nymphs or nereids. These divine figures, daughters of the ancient sea god Nereus, are often depicted as graceful maidens, gliding effortlessly through the waves, their presence both calming and captivating. Unlike the fearsome monsters that dwell in the depths, the nereids embody the gentler, nurturing aspects of the ocean, serving as guides, companions, and protectors for those who traverse their watery realm. In myths, they are closely associated with the well-being of sailors, the beauty of coastal waters, and the subtle mysteries of marine life. In the context of bedtime-style storytelling, they offer an opportunity to explore the magic, rhythm, and serenity of the sea, inspiring relaxation, curiosity, and a sense of wonder. Imagine a quiet morning at sea, the sky painted in delicate shades of pink and gold as the first light of dawn reflects off the gentle waves. In the midst of this tranquil scene, a ripple moves across the water, and a figure emerges, a nereid, her hair shimmering with the colors of the ocean, her form perfectly at ease with the motion of the waves. Around her, smaller marine creatures, dolphins, fish, and even playful sea horses, follow her lead, moving in harmony with her graceful motion. The nereid's presence is a subtle invitation to pause, observe, and appreciate the natural beauty and rhythm of the sea. The listener can imagine this scene unfolding slowly, noticing each detail of movement, reflection, and light, fostering a calm, immersive experience. Nereids are often associated with specific aspects of the sea, from gentle bays and calm lagoons to the playfulness of waves along sunlit shores. Each one carries her own personality, charm, and domain, making every encounter unique. Some are protectors of sailors, guiding ships safely through treacherous waters. Others are observers, watching over sea creatures and maintaining the balance of marine life. In mythology, heroes and mortals who respect the sea may be granted their favor, receiving guidance, assistance, or subtle lessons. Through careful, slow storytelling, these interactions can be imagined vividly, allowing listeners to appreciate the gentle magic of the mythic world without experiencing tension or danger. The imagery of nereids moving through water is particularly soothing and hypnotic. Picture their hair flowing like kelp in a gentle current, skin glistening with droplets of sea spray, and eyes reflecting both the sky and the depths below. Their movements are fluid, almost musical, echoing the rhythms of the ocean itself. Small splashes and glimmers of light accompany their passage, creating a sensory experience that blends sight, sound, and imagination. In bedtime-style storytelling, these moments encourage listeners to visualize subtle motion, feel the ebb and flow of gentle currents, and immerse themselves fully in the serene rhythm of the sea. Nereids also serve as guides during mythic adventures, offering assistance to heroes facing the dangers of the open ocean. They may provide hints about approaching storms, reveal safe passages through rocky straits, or assist in encounters with other mythical creatures. For instance, they might whisper advice, subtly adjust the currents, or appear at the right moment to calm a tempest. These interventions are never forceful, rather, they embody the gentle, nurturing aspect of the sea, demonstrating that guidance often comes in subtle, quiet forms. Listeners can appreciate these moments as metaphors for mindfulness, observation, and responsiveness, cultivating a calm sense of awareness while engaging the imagination. The nereids' interactions with humans are also filled with lessons about respect, empathy, and harmony with nature. In stories, sailors who show patience, reverence, or gratitude toward the sea and its inhabitants are more likely to encounter favor from these beings. Conversely, recklessness or disregard may result in subtle misfortune or missed opportunities. In bedtime-style narratives, these lessons are conveyed through gentle illustration rather than direct moralization, allowing the listener to absorb meaning intuitively while enjoying the immersive, rhythmic flow of the story. Even the quietest moments with nereids are filled with subtle magic. Imagine a calm lagoon, where the water reflects the sky like a mirror, and a group of nereids rises from beneath the surface, their laughter like the soft chime of shells against one another. They weave through the water in intricate patterns, tracing glowing paths that shimmer with bioluminescent light. The gentle motion of waves carries both their presence and the subtle vibrations of their voices, creating a hypnotic, meditative atmosphere. Listeners are invited to imagine themselves observing from a safe distance, absorbing the harmony, beauty, and rhythm of these mythical beings without tension, fully immersed in the serenity of the scene. The nereids also remind us of the interconnectedness of the sea and all who inhabit it. Their presence illustrates the delicate balance between marine life, human endeavor, and divine influence, emphasizing that every ripple, wave, and current has significance. By contemplating these beings and their interactions with the environment, listeners are encouraged to reflect on the subtle ways that forces, both natural and mythic, interact, supporting mindfulness and a gentle appreciation of complexity. Finally, encounters with nereids highlight the soothing, hypnotic qualities of Greek sea myths. Their beauty, grace, and quiet guidance create immersive experiences that blend wonder with calm reflection. Listeners can imagine drifting alongside them, observing their movements, and absorbing the rhythm of the waves, the shimmer of sunlight on water, and the subtle magic of the sea. These moments reinforce the themes of harmony, curiosity, and gentle engagement with the world, offering a meditative journey into imagination, myth, and relaxation. As we leave the nereids behind and continue across the vast, shimmering expanse of the Greek seas, their presence lingers softly in the mind. The memory of graceful forms, rhythmic motion, and subtle guidance accompanies the listener, preparing them for the final leg of our journey, encounters with the most fearsome and awe-inspiring monsters, as well as reflections on the lessons of the sea, the power of myth, and the gentle rhythms of imagination. The Greek seas, alive with divine, natural, and mystical forces, remain a realm of calm fascination and endless wonder. As our journey through the mythic Greek seas draws to a close, we find ourselves reflecting on the vast, mysterious waters we have traversed, the legendary monsters we have encountered, the divine beings who have guided us, and the hidden islands and coves that have offered quiet sanctuary. The tales of Scylla, Charybdis, sirens, nereids, and countless other creatures have woven a rich tapestry of myth, adventure, and wonder. Yet as we approach the shore and the gentle embrace of land, it becomes clear that these stories are not merely about fear or danger, they are about exploration, reflection, and the subtle lessons of the sea. In bedtime-style storytelling, this final section invites listeners to settle into the calm rhythm of waves and wind, to absorb the full journey, and to let their minds drift gently toward rest, contemplation, and serenity. Imagine a quiet evening, the sun dipping toward the horizon, casting a warm, golden glow across the water. The waves shimmer like liquid amber, rising and falling with hypnotic consistency, carrying the memory of our voyage. Perhaps a gentle breeze brushes against the ship, rustling sails and the leaves of distant trees along the coast. The distant cries of seabirds echo softly, punctuating the tranquil melody of the ocean. In this serene atmosphere, the stories of monsters, divine guidance, and hidden islands are no longer tense or alarming. They have become reflections, gentle, instructive, and meditative, inviting the mind to wander and explore without urgency. The return to shore is also a symbolic journey, echoing the broader themes of Greek mythology. Throughout our exploration, we have witnessed heroes navigating treacherous waters, encountering both peril and beauty, and learning lessons about courage, cleverness, and respect for forces beyond their control. Now, approaching calm harbors and familiar landscapes, the narrative emphasizes integration. The experiences at sea become knowledge, insight, and reflection, merging adventure with understanding. For listeners, This creates a sense of closure, a soft landing where the imagination can rest, the body can relax, and the mind can absorb the rhythm, imagery, and lessons of the mythic journey. The creatures we have encountered, from monstrous to divine, leave a lingering presence in this final segment. Scylla and Charybdis, once terrifying, now serve as reminders of the challenges we can navigate with thoughtfulness and care. The sirens' haunting songs linger as symbols of curiosity, imagination, and the gentle allure of the unknown. Nereids, with their graceful guidance, leave a sense of harmony, connection, and balance. Each element contributes to a cumulative experience, layering imagery, emotion, and reflection, so that the listener can absorb the full richness of the mythic seas in a calm, restorative way. The sensory landscape of the returning voyage is equally immersive. Picture the gentle sway of the ship as it nears a sandy shore, the shimmer of moonlight or the last rays of sun glinting across water, and the soft rustle of wind through coastal trees. The water reflects colors both subtle and profound, from silvers to deep blues, mirroring the depth and complexity of the myths we have explored. Perhaps distant rocks hint at past adventures, the shapes of islands linger faintly, and the rhythmic pulse of the waves carries echoes of every encounter, every lesson, and every creature. This careful attention to detail encourages visualization, mindfulness, and a sense of calm satisfaction. The final reflections of the sea are also about rhythm and timing. The waves move steadily, unhurried, carrying with them the lessons of careful navigation, patience, and observation. The gentle push and pull of the tide mirrors the ebb and flow of experience, reminding listeners that challenges, beauty, and reflection coexist in dynamic balance. The sea, with all its perils and wonders, offers a profound meditation on life itself, sometimes unpredictable, sometimes gentle, always rich with meaning for those who observe and reflect. This concluding section also emphasizes connection. Throughout the voyage, sailors, heroes, and mortals have interacted with divine beings, mythical monsters, and natural forces. In returning to shore, these interactions are understood as part of a larger continuum, linking human experience with nature, imagination, and the divine. Listeners are invited to reflect on their own journeys, real or imagined, and to appreciate the value of observation, reflection, and harmony in navigating both the world of myth and the real world. The calm, immersive narration encourages this introspection, guiding the mind gently toward insight without pressure or urgency. Even the final moments of the narrative are rich with sensory engagement. The soft lapping of waves against the hull or shoreline, the subtle scent of salt and seaweed carried on a gentle breeze, the distant glow of lights or lanterns along the coast, all these details create a multi-layered, immersive experience. Listeners are encouraged to visualize, to breathe in rhythm with the narrative, and to allow their minds to wander safely through both memory and imagination, carrying with them the calm fascination and wonder cultivated throughout the journey. Finally, the return to shore serves as a meditation on continuity, closure, and rest. The myths, monsters, and divine beings encountered along the voyage have created a rich narrative tapestry, blending suspense, reflection, beauty, and subtle lessons. As the ship settles into harbor or the imagination drifts to the quiet of a coastal cove, listeners are left with a sense of completeness. The stories are both concluded and lingering, providing mental nourishment, calm, and gentle inspiration. The journey through the Greek seas, with all its depth, rhythm, and imagery, leaves an enduring impression of wonder, respect, and serenity. As the night deepens, and the stars reflect softly on the still waters, the listener may imagine stepping ashore, feeling the gentle pull of sand beneath their feet, and hearing the distant whisper of waves carrying stories yet untold. The myths of the Greek seas fade gently into memory, leaving a lingering sense of awe, tranquility, and reflection. In this final, calm return, the mind and imagination are free to rest, carrying with them the rhythms, lessons, and enchantment of the entire journey, a perfect conclusion to an immersive, relaxing, and richly mythic voyage. Even after returning to the calm, familiar shores of the Greek seas, the myths, monsters, and divine encounters continue to linger gently in the imagination, inviting reflection and quiet contemplation. This final section is not merely a conclusion, it is an opportunity to absorb, synthesize, and meditate on the journey as a whole. Throughout our voyage, we have witnessed both the awe-inspiring and the terrifying, Scylla's multiple heads and ravenous appetite, Charybdis's swirling whirlpool, the sirens' hypnotic songs, and the nurturing presence of nereids. Each story, each encounter, has contributed to a rich tapestry of lessons, insights, and reflections on courage, curiosity, patience, and the balance between respect and ambition. In the soft cadence of bedtime storytelling, these reflections encourage calm, gentle engagement with imagination, allowing listeners to carry the rhythm, wonder, and serenity of the Greek seas into their own dreams and thoughts. Imagine standing on a quiet shore at twilight, the gentle waves lapping at your feet, the soft hum of the sea echoing like a lullaby. Above, the first stars appear, reflecting softly on the water's surface, shimmering like distant lanterns floating in a vast, infinite expanse. The air is warm yet cool, carrying a hint of salt and the faint fragrance of coastal flora. In the distance, the echoes of the sirens' songs mingle with the rhythmic pulse of the waves, while glimpses of nereids gliding just beneath the surface remind us of the persistent magic of the sea. These sensory images, slowly absorbed, create a hypnotic, meditative atmosphere where imagination and reflection coexist in calm harmony. The monsters of the sea, while fearsome, now appear as symbols rather than immediate threats. Scylla's heads, each reaching for the hero, become a reminder of life's unavoidable challenges and the need for strategy and careful planning. Charybdis, with its powerful currents and spiraling whirlpool, embodies the forces of nature that are beyond human control, reminding us to respect the environment and to navigate life with patience and mindfulness. The sirens, with their alluring, hypnotic melodies, teach the mind about curiosity, desire, and the importance of self-awareness. And the nereids, serene and graceful, provide a model of harmony, connection, and gentle guidance. Together, these figures illustrate a balanced worldview, in which danger, beauty, wisdom, and reflection coexist seamlessly. The Greek seas themselves, calm now after the dramatic adventures, continue to carry lessons in rhythm, flow, and patience. Waves rise and fall with hypnotic consistency, guiding the imagination through patterns of movement that mirror the natural cycles of life. Currents, tides, and gentle breezes encourage awareness of interconnectedness, teaching that even seemingly minor forces can influence outcomes in subtle but meaningful ways. In bedtime storytelling, attention to these patterns fosters relaxation and mindfulness, allowing listeners to experience immersion without tension and to appreciate the poetic rhythm inherent in the natural world. As the mind reflects on the journey, the power of myth itself becomes evident. These stories are not solely about monsters, gods, or heroes. They are about human experience, imagination, and the capacity to learn from the unknown. Heroes navigate challenges, make decisions under pressure, and encounter beings of immense power, yet the narratives are ultimately about reflection, adaptation, and growth. Similarly, listeners are invited to absorb not just the imagery and suspense, but also the lessons embedded within: courage tempered by wisdom, curiosity balanced with discipline, and awe transformed into contemplative appreciation. This reflective framing deepens engagement while maintaining the gentle, calming tone essential for sleep-focused storytelling. Even subtle details enrich the immersive quality of this final section. The gentle shimmer of moonlight on water, the distant silhouette of a ship returning home, the soft rustle of coastal trees, and the whisper of the wind all create a multisensory tableau. The mind can wander through these details, imagining texture, movement, and sound, cultivating calm and mental focus. Every element, no matter how small, contributes to a soothing rhythm, inviting listeners to slow their breathing, release tension, and drift into the reflective state that mythic storytelling uniquely provides. The divine elements also linger subtly. Poseidon, though not always directly present, is felt in the currents and the tides, a reminder of forces beyond control yet deserving of respect. Nereids glide invisibly beneath the surface, guiding thought and imagination. Even the lingering memory of sirens encourages careful, reflective engagement with curiosity and desire. These mythic elements provide both structure and beauty, emphasizing that the world, real or imagined, is layered, complex, and best approached with mindfulness, patience, and respect. As the night deepens and the stars fully emerge, the stories themselves begin to echo softly in the mind like distant waves. One can imagine the vast expanse of the Greek seas stretching infinitely, carrying stories yet untold, creatures yet unseen, and whispers of magic and adventure waiting patiently for discovery. In this gentle, expansive context, listeners are encouraged to drift freely through imagination, guided by the soft cadence of narrative, the rhythm of the waves, and the meditative quality of mythic storytelling. Ultimately, Section 21 serves as a meditation on integration, closure, and reflection. The entire journey, from fearsome monsters to nurturing nereids, from treacherous whirlpools to mystical islands, forms a coherent, immersive narrative that invites listeners to internalize lessons, appreciate rhythm and beauty, and experience wonder in a calm, safe, and restorative manner. By synthesizing the themes, imagery, and emotional resonance of the preceding sections, this final portion ensures that the listener's mind is gently prepared for rest, carrying the serenity of the Greek seas into sleep or quiet reflection. As we leave the shores behind and allow imagination to drift beyond the horizon, the stories of the Greek seas linger softly, like the fading echo of a lullaby. Monsters and gods, heroes and nymphs, whirlpools and hidden coves, all remain in the mind's eye as gentle reflections, symbols, and inspirations. The journey concludes not with a sudden ending, but with a calm, rhythmic fade, inviting the listener to rest, dream, and carry the gentle magic of the mythic seas into their own inner world. The Greek seas, vast, mysterious, and timeless, have offered not only adventure and suspense but also meditation, wonder, and serenity, a perfect end to a long, immersive, and reflective voyage.